back here in Waco, or the day after that seismic shift to the BCS standings. Oklahoma State was upset by Iowa State, and that greatly affects Oklahoma's chances. Let's say hello to the third member of our broadcast team, Aaron Andrews. Good evening, Aaron.
Good evening, Tess. And you know what? It's guys like you that Bob Stoops is warning his team about, actually. He said after Oklahoma State lost, he gathered up his guys and he said, don't listen to all the analysts, all the broadcasters out there. We are still very much in this thing. We have 3 games left. You never know the way this thing is going to shake out. And it's up to us just to concentrate at the task at hand. He's been very candid with his team. He was candid with them this week. We could be a one-loss team playing for this thing. So don't worry about what anyone's saying. Just focus on yourself. You never know what's going to happen, Tess.
Yeah, we found that out last night, Aaron, as Robert Griffin III will get his first chance. Baylor receives here as OU won the toss and deferred. Touchback there with Goodley fielding it. So out comes Robert Griffin III. Had season-ending knee surgery in '09, came back, was sensational. In fact, last week showed what he can do late after kind of lingering through 3 quarters. Matt came alive to spark a 4th quarter comeback at Kansas, forcing overtime and then the win.
Biggest thing with Robert Griffin in this offense is they cannot start slow. They started slow a week ago. They do that against Oklahoma and fall down early. That's a position they do not want to be in. They do not feel comfortable coming back trying to add more points.
Terrence Ganaway is the starting running back, flanking Griffin in the shotgun. And a delayed handoff goes to Ganaway for just a minimal gain. A look at the impact players for the Bears.
Well, take a good look at him, and you just saw him. Robert Griffin III is your main guy, but Ganaway's the big power back on the inside. Number 1 right there. Kendall Wright is the guy who's to make the big plays, mostly in the slot. They use him to motion around a lot. And Mike Hicks defensively is the guy who's going to have to come up big against that 3 receiver set.
Lasco Martin now joins Griffin in the backfield. 2nd and 9. Griffin pumps, then goes downfield, and wide open is Kendall Wright. Goodbye. Touchdown Baylor, but a flag is down at the 18-yard line, so we'll have to check that.
This one's going to come back, Joe, but they set this one up perfectly. And it wasn't just on the second play. It was set up in the first play.
Holding. Offense, number 68. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Mark Riles fired up. His 4th year as head coach.
68's big left tackle, Cyril Richardson, right here. Take a good look at him. He just gets his hands up. They're seeing something right there. Right up around the throat, Joe. And they're going to call that every time. Those hands are down low. Get down and on the hips after you do that. They won't call it, but it's up around the throat. That's too obvious. They're going to throw it every time.
That play, though, did give us a glance of the skill set of Kendall Wright and his athletic
good.
ability. He can create separation. There's Art Briles, who has never beaten OU. 3 shots while at Baylor, and then 1 time a loss as the head coach at Houston. So 2nd and 20 after the penalty. And Griffin is swallowed up in the backfield by Frank Alexander.
We talked about getting off to a fast start. That penalty wiped out exactly what they were looking for, because they're looking also, don't forget, these are kids who haven't beaten this Oklahoma team. They're looking for confidence. And they can get confidence off of big plays like you saw. And they took that one away.
3rd and 22 now. Griffin under pressure, and it is caught at the 20. Obviously, it'll be well short of the 1st down. Terrence Williams was the receiver there. And a flag comes in late.
I think
Corey Nelson was pressuring Robert Griffin.
I think he took a pretty good shot.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense, number 7. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic 1st down.
That was Corey Nelson, who came in against the junior quarterback.
Well, they come with the blitz, and it's Corey Nelson. When he's in, you have to be aware of him. They're just going to bring him right around inside. Well done up front by the defensive front of the Oklahoma Sooners. They're going to open this, and here it comes, right down the middle. They called him because he went too high, jumped up in his face. But I want you to watch the other part of it. There's the hit. But RG3 stood right in there and delivered that ball perfectly.
Oh, he's a gutsy kid. And we'll get some motion.
False start. Offense. Number 68. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So penalty-filled first couple minutes here between Oklahoma and Baylor. As the touchdown to Wright was wiped off the board. And then a first down coming off the 15-yarder of roughing the passer.
Big deal, though, for me is this Oklahoma defense has the ability to be able to match up with personnel. And so that allows them to bring extra pressure. And they'll blitz inside. And Brent Venables, their defensive coordinator, he's not afraid to do it, as you saw in his third down. Here's another one.
Ganaway searching for some real estate, but unable to find it as both Alexander and Nelson corralled him.
It's Brent Venables, their defensive coordinator, who's an aggressive guy and an infectious type of guy. And he's one of those guys that it just kind of pours out of him. You can feel the enthusiasm, and his players respond to him. Not only in practice, but game day, you see the same things.
He had a lot of respect for what Art Briles and Phil Montgomery have done with this Baylor offense when we chatted with him this week. So they do things with their personnel very different, you know, gimmicky stuff, but stuff that you respect. So in 19, Griffin has a wobbly ball that looked like it was deflected at the line of scrimmage, as Nelson and Lewis were pressuring Griffin.
Well, one thing you have to always remember when Corey Nelson is on the field, and he's an excellent athlete, and they love to blitz him. And he's got a good ability to make people miss. You saw that right there. He was blocked. He redirected, came back, and got his hands up. This kid, not a lot of people know about him. He's one of their best defenders. Extremely athletic, but great instincts.
Just a sophomore is Nelson. We've already seen tonight how fast he can get into that backfield of Baylor's. 3rd and 19 now.
Man-to-man up top.
Going to take a strike downfield, well overthrown, and another flag comes in as Jamel Fleming had the coverage on Lanier Sampson.
You mentioned Sampson. Jamel Fleming's their best cover guy, and I mentioned at the top of the play, he was all alone, man-to-man.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 32. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic. First down.
So Robert Griffin III sees the same thing that you're seeing. All alone by himself, you're going to take that shot to Sampson outside. Fleming's all over him. Actually does a nice job of using the sideline as his extra defender, but they got the bump and they got the flag.
Second time that a penalty has converted for them on a 3rd and long. Ganaway now coming to the near side, and Ganaway is really struggling to find any room against that front 7. David King and DeMontre Hurst were quick to get to him.
Well, Joe, here's the one thing that he has. He has power. Ganaway's a power guy. He's 240-some pounds. He's not going to run away from this Oklahoma defense. This defense can flat out run.
Big, strong, physical runner. They go empty here, and it looks like they're trying to set up the pass, and indeed they do to Terrence Williams, as that was Gerard Monk, who they threw the lateral to, who then had the option to look downfield.
But DeMontre Hurst played it beautifully. Watch Hurst down here in the corner. See, he keeps getting his depth. He sees that it's a backward pass. Great awareness.
And now the screen to the near side with Goodley, and Goodley surges ahead. Crossing midfield are the Baylor Bears. You know, Monk was a high school quarterback, and Baylor, as we talked about, Venables said it. He said, listen, very innovative, gimmicky kind of offense, but successful with it. You can see the hurry up as they race over the ball.
You see how the official is standing over the ball, and that's on purpose. Once they bring a player in, you have to allow the defense to be able to do the same.
This is Salubi now, and he tries to get the edge and makes a move back to the inside, as Salubi is able to get it to the 33-yard line before he is forced out by Travis Lewis.
Salubi has himself a little bit of speed. He's able to get to the edge. Looks like they were aided a little bit by some hands over Niver, the tight end.
Salubi's a local kid from Waco and had a couple scores last year against Oklahoma. 2nd and 3, Ganaway the lone back. Play action. Griffin launches it to the end zone and overthrows Kendall Wright this time.
Another big hit on Griffin. Another blitz off the edge. Frank Alexander comes this time. So if you are Brent Venables, it's clear what his message is right now. They're going to bring people, and they want to knock him down. They want his uniform dirty, and they want to punish him early and often.
Yeah, Venables said, as he goes, Baylor goes, and we have to make him pay. They've done that early here on this drive. 3rd and 3 now. They go with the wide receiver sweep, and Reese cannot escape. A tackle for loss that time as Javon Harris was not fooled. Tevin Reese taken down near the 40-yard line.
One of the marks of all good defenses is their ability to defend the perimeter with speed. Oklahoma does it well. They have the ability to be able to run. Baylor is going to struggle trying to get to the edge on this defense.
So fast and athletic, that front 7 of the Sooners. So Spencer Roth, the big 6'4", 230-pound freshman punter for the Bears, comes out, and Kenny Stills is the return man who's just going to set up shop at about the 12-yard line. And a fair catch at the 16. So the Bears cross midfield, couldn't come up with a score. Landry Jones on deck when we return. Our rivalry history is brought to you by Sprint. Baylor has never beaten Oklahoma. 0 for 20. OU is the only Big 12 team Baylor has never defeated. You see that average margin of victory? Not many close games. So Landry Jones to pass on Oklahoma's first play of the game, and he completes it to Jazz Reynolds, a sophomore who may be one of those guys who looks to step up with the absence of Ryan Broyles.
He's got it. His whole thing is just be consistent because he has big plays in him.
Roy Finch, and he scoots out to the 26-yard line. Look at the impact players, Matt.
Well, we talked about Oklahoma. It all starts this offense with Landry Jones, like you talked about. But Roy Finch is a guy who can get in space and make some plays. Kenny Stills, that's a guy who has big play speed to get down the field. And we already saw Frank Alexander getting pressure. He's the guy who gives them consistent pressure on the quarterback.
There is Stills. He's gone over 100 yards in 3 games this year.
Kenny Stills has legitimate blow the top off the coverage speed. He can get past you.
Well, we talk so much about Ryan Broyles. Kenny Stills, actually, his freshman year, a year ago, he broke all of Ryan Broyles' freshman receiving records. And Broyles is, the all-time greatest statistical receiver in NCAA history. And it is a first down after that run by Roy Finch.
And Ryan Broyles meant so much to this team on a lot of different fronts, and a lot to these young receivers, in teaching them how to practice, how to play the game, how to run your routes, how to prepare, all those type of things. They've all benefited from Broyles.
And he's still doing it. He's helping coach up the receivers during practice. He's out with a torn ACL that was suffered in their last game against Texas A&M. Jones now quickly over the middle, was batted away, and Elliott Coffey got his hand up in the way of that passing lane.
Elliott Coffey, son of Ken Coffey, the old Washington Redskin, he wasn't DB. They moved him into linebacker. Had a heck of a game a week ago. All over the field, had a bunch of tackles.
Had a couple interceptions against Kansas as well. Was Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. 2nd and 10 now for Jones. And wide open that time is Reynolds. And look at Reynolds go, crossing midfield inside the 45 before he was finally taken down by Sam Hall.
The whole key to this is, first of all, he has the time to throw. And then you just sit down And that's one of those things that Ryan Broyles is teaching the young receiver. Sitting down in the holes in his zone.
30-yard reception. Now Stills fights ahead to the 42-yard line where he was tackled by Mike Hicks.
We talk about Oklahoma. We talk about the players. And that's one part of defending them. The other part, Joe, is defending the pace. And they will give you a bunch of different pace.
That's something I want to talk to you more about, Matt, because there's a difference between defending tempo or pace compared to defending a scheme.
Oh, it's not even close.
2nd and 8 now. Jones looks to the far side, and he finds Reynolds again. So we're starting to see how Reynolds can be that guy who does step up.
And they're on the same page. And when you're defending pace, you have got to be defensively disciplined. You need to be well conditioned because they're going to wear you out. And then along with that, you have to have depth. And here's right. Well, look at this. They're right up and ready to go.
Great
All those
example
things
of that
come in.
pace. And coming up and making a fine defensive play that time was Ahmad Dixon.
And so if you're Phil Bennett, the defensive coordinator for the Baylor Bears, the main thing you have to be able to do is get everybody lined up properly. That's the first thing. A lot of times when they go quick pace, you have guys not knowing what to do. They're standing around, and then they take advantage of it.
A rare moment of seeing that play clock go down towards 10 seconds here. 2nd and 13. Little pressure up the middle, and Jones just throws it off out of bounds. So it'll bring up a 3rd and 13. That was Rodney Chadwick who came untouched.
And a nice job by Phil Bennett, their defensive coordinator. So they cover you off inside. They bring Chadwick, 26, blowing right up the middle. He had the free shot, and that's the one area that Landry Jones does not like to see pressure, is right in his face.
Need to get this ball to the 17-yard line. 3rd and 13. Jones steps up, flag is down, as wide open, walking into the end zone was Camille Jackson, but we will check on the flag.
Personal foul. Chop block. Number 22, offense. 15-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Now it's Roy Finch to help out in pass protection.
Yeah, once a man is engaged, you can't, from the second level, you can't get him. You're going to watch Roy Finch. He's engaged inside. I'll see there's 2. Actually, he started at first. But Eichert, the center, he comes across, and they get it.
So with that, the ball is moved back and placed all the way at the 44, making for a 3rd and 28. 3-by-1 receivers with Finch in the backfield with Jones. They only bring 3 this time. Ball is up in the air, and it falls incomplete. As Camille Jackson, the Oklahoma receiver, was in the middle of all those Baylor defensive backs. And Mike Hicks was the one that got in the mix to cause this deflection.
Well, Joe, you mentioned it. You see, there's only 3 rushers, and they actually had decent pressure, which means there are 8 guys against 5 down the field. And so you can they try to flood the zone and take advantage of it, but you have enough men defensively to be able to fill the voids.
Tressway on to punt for the Sooners, and Levi Norwood, the return man for Baylor. Left-footed boot by Tressway. And that sails out of the end zone. Scoreless here in Waco between number 5 and number 22. Stay with us.
Saturday Night Football on ABC. Presented by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And Chevrolet and their award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers.
No score here at Floyd Casey Stadium in Waco, Texas. Oklahoma in the top 5 of the BCS standings for a record 48th time.
You can see one of the things that Oklahoma wanted to do was get hits on Robert Griffin early, and they were able to do it in that first series of play. They knocked him down a bunch of times. And so if you now are Baylor, there's one thing that they have in their back pocket, and it's on the bottom of his feet, his shoes. That guy start using his feet, start taking off and run. That messes up all your defensive scheme.
Blazing speed with Robert Griffin III. Frank Alexander, a big part of that pass rush for Oklahoma. Play action. Griffin, pressure again, and taken down by Alexander. Let's check in with Aaron Andrews. EA?
Well, guys, you're talking about this pressure that the Sooners are getting on RG3. Guess what the 2 words are that Art Briles is screaming to his team right now, particularly his O-line? Protect and poise. Pressure, protect, poise. Nice alliteration, guys. Keeping you on your toes.
Nice. You need a little bit more alliteration there, Aaron. What we need, they need the protection. They need the poise. And then they need to get on their horse and move him. He can't keep him on point, because if they're keeping him in one spot, that's an easy place to find him. Use the mobility that he has and start to move him in that pocket.
5 tackles for loss for Oklahoma now. 2nd and 17 after the sack. And that is incomplete as he threw it to the outside looking for Levi Norwood.
We've talked about Baylor offensively, and they'd like to be able to establish a run game. I think Oklahoma established early that you're not going to be able to get outside. You're not going to make a living running inside. This offensive line of Baylor is not a real power group. It's going to fall back on the shoulders of Robert Griffin, and they knew that coming into it.
As it has so many times in the course of the last 2 years. Number 2 in the nation in total offense. 3rd and 17. That was dangerous. Throwing against the grain and almost into the hands of Travis Lewis.
He's starting to feel pressure off that left side. That's Frank Alexander. Alexander, now he's getting blocked up this time by Cyril Richardson, but he feels it, and he starts to move, and you're right, throwing back across, that should have been a pick. But a nice job by Kendall Wright at the end to turn in the transition game and be a defender.
So Roth on to punt again as he is straddling his goal line, and Kenny Stills will provide good field position for Oklahoma. He's at midfield right now. Stills from the 44. And he goes down at about the 47. So they've been coming after that guy, Robert Griffin III. Oklahoma on offense when we return. How about we tell you what's coming up on ESPN's Monday Night Football this week? You got Tom Brady and the AFC East leading New England Patriots hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs-Patriots, ESPN's Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern, and coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. Landry Jones in that Oklahoma offense. Seen the fast pace plenty so far, but we haven't seen a score. And this is James Hanna, his tight end, tiptoeing the sideline.
Oklahoma has a lot of different ways to beat you. They can beat you with the wide receivers. They can beat you when you're locked up in man coverage like you had right there with Hanna, the tight end.
Hanna can go. He had a 76-yarder against Oak State last year. Here's Roy Finch, and nothing doing that time as K.J. Morton came up from that corner spot.
Josh Heupel, their offensive coordinator, knew that he was going to have to fill the void. We talked about that with Ryan Broyles, but he also knew that he had a lot of weapons that they haven't even used yet, Joe. This is a pretty deep and talented roster that Oklahoma brings.
We've already seen Jazz Reynolds, number 16 there. And now Finch coming out of the backfield. They swing it to Finch, and he scoots out just short of the 30. It was Ahmad Dixon who gave a little extra. Oklahoma's offense, number 1 in protecting Mr. Jones. 0.44 of sacks allowed. 3rd and 8. to the far side, and Reynolds, did he juggle that?
He juggled it.
So incomplete, as he could not secure the ball before going out of bounds.
This is the inconsistency part that we've talked about with Jazz Reynolds. He's got big hands. You just got to lock that thing down right away.
These things are the size of dinner plates, Matt.
Yeah, they really are, Giuseppe.
But he needed to hold on.
That's
Michael
good call.
Honeycutt will come on to attempt a 47-yarder. He does have a career long of 53. A redshirt freshman has started the last 6 games and has done very well. And you see the big leg of Honeycutt. So Oklahoma gets on the board first. 3-zip Sooners. Thanks, Robert. That Marquise Lee, the young wide receiver at USC, is going to be something special. You know, Robert Woods not 100% this week, Matt, but Marquise Lee, very talented.
Not a bad guy they have thrown it to him either.
Barkley, tremendous pro prospect. And right here, Robert Griffin is able to connect with Kendall Wright.
And speaking about receivers, Kendall Wright is a guy I think who kind of flies under the radar. He's got really good short area quickness. He can run extremely well. That's a good football player.
And now they go with the screen to Reese, and Reese has it for a first down. And you talk about Kendall Wright. Bob Stoops said, heck, we recruited this guy hard. We wanted him. Oklahoma was in the hunt for him.
And it's easy to see why. I mean, he's a thick guy. He's got some run after the catch skills. He's just a talented player.
First down at the 36 for Baylor. Wright, a semifinalist for the Bolitnikoff Award. So finally getting some respect nationally. Ganaway chugs ahead to the 40-yard line. Gave Javon Harris a bit of a ride there.
Brent Venables keeps on bringing pressure. Now it had a run blitz right inside. They caught him, ran right into it.
And now Terrence Williams at midfield. And Williams puts on a move and stiff arms his way to the 40-yard line. That was Jamel Fleming caught out there on an island.
Yeah, because he didn't get lined up quick. A little bit of medicine right back at you. What the Oklahoma offense does, they're doing the same thing now.
How about this tempo? Quick handoff this time.
Should have been a flag.
Not everybody was set, Matt.
And Oklahoma didn't get off the field in time, and they were on the Baylor side.
And the penalty does come in late.
Illegal substitution defense. 12 men on the field at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Yeah, well, they did see it, and they saw it down here. The official down here sees it, but you can see here, and here's another one. They don't get off the field in time. Just too many men, and a nice job of running pace. Now you have to defend pace as well.
Both teams do a good job, and look at Ganaway spinning his way inside the 30, and another flag comes in from the defensive backfield.
That's going to be on Tom Ward, and that's going to be a horse collar. I'm not a big fan of this. If it is a horse collar, I'm not a big fan of it. It's a face mask. I am a fan of it.
Personal foul. Face mask. Defense number 6. Half the distance to the goal from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
Yeah, you can see Ward defending. That's nice. Face in hand. Yeah, he gets all that face mask too. That's a great call.
He had a whole chunk of steel that time on Terrence Ganaway. So the ball is placed at the 14-yard line. Baylor is in prime position to strike here. Salubi now. Salubi trying to get to that edge, and he is forced out at about the 13. It was Frank Alexander who was tracking Salubi every step of the way.
Salubi gets the run, but the guy who made the whole thing happen was Robert Griffin, as we have a guy down, Tom Ward. Remember, he's nursing an ankle.
Ward was coming off a bad ankle. He was able to practice this week, so he stayed with the starting assignment.
I like this kid. I liked
Tom Ward.
I liked him a year ago, and I think he's gotten better. He's gotten a little bigger. He's around about 230 pounds now. but he gets it. He understands how to play that inside position. He'll strike you with his face and hands, and he controls people. He can run. Looks like a little bit of a blowout there. Number 21 coming off the edge down here. You can see him. He's got to redirect. And what really got him was Robert Griffin and his ability to read that mesh point.
So Jaden Bird comes in for the Oklahoma defense in place of Tom Ward. Second down and 9 at the 13-yard line. There is Bird, the junior linebacker. Design quarterback run with Griffin III. And not much running room at all, only able to get to the 11-yard line.
Interestingly, when he runs, he has better runner's patience than he does thrower's patience. Because his ability to take off and run when he's in the pocket to throw, he'll pull it down a little quicker because he has the ability to take off. But when he's a runner, he has excellent runner's patience.
Such confidence in his ability to accelerate. Kendall right now in the backfield with Griffin as we had all kinds of motion.
False start, offense, number 71, 5-yard penalty, third down.
So Art Briles will see his offense backed up 5 more.
Art Briles has done it the hard way. He came up all the way from high school all the way through. He knows this offense inside and out. His offensive coordinator, Phil Montgomery, and him are on the same page. When they call a game, they're calling it together.
A long-time high school coaching legend in Texas, highlighted by his time at Stephenville High School back in the late 80s through the 90s before he went on to Texas Tech and then Houston as a head coach, and now here's success at Baylor. 3rd and 12. And once again, motion looked like it came from the right side of the line.
False start, offense, number 79, 5-yard penalty, third down.
And 79 is Robert T. Griffin. They call him, jokingly, RG2. You got RG3, and there's RG2. And he's huge. He goes 6'6", 335.
Exactly. It looked like he might be 2 of RG3.
Right.
That's probably why they mean it. He's a big man.
Let's bring in Aaron Andrews. Aaron, what do you have
Coach
for us?
Briles giving the official an earful, saying he called timeout before they threw that flag, and you know, he's saying to the official, "That's your job. You're supposed to hear that." I think the official's saying he didn't.
Miscommunication there. 3rd and 17. And Griffin, not much room at all, taken down at the 17-yard line by Jaden Bird and David King.
When push comes to shove, they're going to trust the guy who's probably the best runner, and that's their quarterback. Look, they're going to take the 3 points, and they're going to tie this thing up.
Aaron Jones on for the 34-yard attempt. He's been struggling a bit with his accuracy. Just 5 of 11 this year. And he ties the game. 3-3 for Art Briles' squad. Last week, boy, they had to dig themselves out of a hole against Kansas. Baylor rallied from a 21-point deficit in the 4th quarter. Tevin Reese, a 65-yard touchdown, would tie the game and force overtime at 24-24. In overtime, Griffin III connected with Reese again, a 14-yard score. They were up 31-24. Kansas scored, but then they went for 2, and they came up short. So Baylor won it against Kansas, a team that has struggled mightily this year. There are a lot of people, when that score was being put up around the country last week, Matt, was shaking their heads saying, Baylor is in that big of a hole against Kansas. They pulled it out.
Yeah, and I was one of them. We were keeping our eye on that thing. And you knew that Baylor had the ability to be able to explode at any time. It didn't happen for the longest time, and then Griffin got hot.
Griffin tonight is 5 for 9 for 60 yards. Hasn't been able to generate much offense on the ground. Trey Franks now returning the short kickoff, and Franks is cut down just beyond the 25. Well, the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup concludes with the Ford 400 at Homestead, Miami. Coverage begins at 2 Eastern on ESPN with NASCAR Countdown presented by Napa. Matt, did you see the chatter between Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart?
I love to see that.
These guys were just talking it up as they're separated by just 3 points going into this final race. And this thing looked like a heavyweight fight weigh-in the other day with these two guys jawing at each other. See what they bring to the track tomorrow. Brandon Williams now the featured lone back in the offense. Jones avoids the pressure, steps up, and then that ball is batted away by Mike Hicks.
We talked about Mike Hicks at the stop as one of our one of our impact players. You got to be impressed right now. Jean-Baptiste gets a little pressure inside, but Phil Bennett, he's been mixing up his stuff. He's brought pressure. He's gone a little bit more man. I had not seen that a lot. I went back even to last year's tape to watch it. He's mixing things up on Landry Jones.
Of course, Bennett, a well-traveled, long-time defensive guru. 2nd and 10 now. Over the middle, and that is incomplete. And it was good, hard defense by Sam Hall to come in against James Hanna.
Good anticipation. That time they dial up just a pure zone. Hall's going to be sitting back, and you are watching the quarterback's eyes. And when he eyeballs it and sees it, there's Phil right there.
You think Bennett's working up a sweat tonight, Matt?
That's the way he is.
Jones looks over the sideline. 3rd and 10. The crowd ready to roar in support of this defense. They only bring 3. Jones takes a strike, and it's right on the hands of Kenny Stills for a first down.
Remember, we said he could make all the throws, and he's accurate. And here's the perfect example. This is a small, tight window. Got to be right there. Stills finds the opening. Jones finds Stills.
26-yard reception on that 3rd down. Fly sweep this time with Trey Franks, and Franks gets to the outside and then tumbles. The ball came out at the very end, and it is Baylor's ball. They upended Trey Franks, and he lost the ball. Joe Williams got in after it. Williams cut him down, and watch the end of this play.
And he doesn't put his head on it, Joe. He puts his body on it. Looks like Jazz Reynolds had a chance to be able to get it, but strange things happen on the bottom of piles. Trust me on that one.
Look at that hit by Joe Williams that sent Franks into a 360 and unable to hold on to the ball.
You play for turnovers. You can't game plan them. And when the opportunity is there, you got to get on top of it. Baylor did.
Delayed handoff now by Ganaway, and he's going to lose a bit of yardage. But that Baylor defense able to stop the Sooners thanks to Joe Williams. He's the guy that saved the day last week at Kansas, breaking up that 2-point conversion attempt by the Jayhawks that we showed you moments ago. He put on that big hit against Trey Franks. 3-3 game here between number 5 and number 22.
The Cost of War, Tuesday at 5, only on Channel 3.
Welcome back to ABC's Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines. Glad you're with us. Joe Tessitore alongside Matt Millen and Aaron Andrews. 3-3 game here between Oklahoma and Baylor. Of course, Oklahoma still holding out hope that they can be in that great debate among the one-loss teams trying to get to the BCS title game. USC's up 2 scores on Oregon right now. That would help the cause. 2nd and 12 now. Griffin, and he gets it complete to Kendall Wright, and Wright has enough yardage for the first down. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary, Matt.
Well, it's been big. Been big on the defensive side, which is kind of interesting. Baylor not bad. They stepped to the plate defensively.
Griffin able to get to that edge and out across the 45-yard line. You know, he was being chased down, but an example of that world-class speed in just a short amount of yards. And that was Ronell Lewis, who came all the way around to find Robert Griffin III. Makes for a 2nd and 6. Plenty of time, and launches it for Wright. But well overthrown, as Wright was also well covered by Demontre Hurst and Aaron Colvin.
That Colvin kid makes up a lot of ground. Hurst was right on top of him. They knew that Wright could get on top of him. They could get deep. And so Hurst stayed on top of it. But that Colvin is, I think that's a very good player.
He can play corner, he can play safety.
He has very good range, good speed, good movement, sees the field well.
Folks rave about his instincts. 3rd and 6 now. And here's where Griffin can be dangerous, but he's taken down from behind. And boy, for a moment that had the look of a horse collar tackle, but Tom Ward wrote him down.
And that's the part where Ward separates himself from other players. He can run you down. And that looks like it should have been probably called.
So he's dangerous if the legs don't give out on a tackle like that and they get bent back. Unfortunately for Griffin, quick to get up. Makes for a 4th down, and that sends Spencer Roth back out to punt. Kenny Stills came into this game with only 2 career punt returns. It's his first game as the starting punt returner for the Sooners. And he fields it inside the 10, and he is taken down right at the 11-yard line, and they do call that one, Matt.
That was a tough one. You know, ironically, we're talking about a horse collar here, and that's Mike Hicks, the safety we talked about at the top of the game. The guy who that whole rule came from was at Oklahoma, Roy Williams, the safety.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle, number 17. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Take a break. 3-3. A look at that 15-yarder on Hicks. Time for tonight's Aflac trivia question. Thank you, Duck. Oklahoma 20-0 all-time versus Baylor. We told you about that mighty mark. Who are the other 2 BCS AQ schools, Matt, with a perfect record against a current conference opponent? So there's 2 other schools out there that have the perfect mark against conference opponents as well. First down for the Sooners. And Finch tries to spin free, but is taken down at the line of scrimmage. Aaron.
Hey, Taz, after Trey Franks was upended and Baylor was able to recover that ball, I'm not going to say the Sooners' offense was tight, but I will tell you that all the coaches were yelling a lot of fundamentals to them, like hustle, get to the ball, protect the ball. Even Bob Stoops came over to say, come on, guys, fight. I need you to be competitive.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the norm. There's 3 points on the board here in the 2nd quarter. They're 4th in the nation total offense nationally, but slowed a bit tonight as Finch is only able to get a couple of yards out of the backfield.
Yeah, but Joe, remember when we were talking to the coaches of the Baylor Bears, what they said they had to do is they had to get themselves a good start. And they wanted to start faster offensively, but hey, defensively they've picked it up. And so now you're 3-3 in the 2nd quarter. That constitutes a good start. They can pick it up from here.
Here's an even bigger opportunity for that Baylor defense. And that guy, coordinator Phil Bennett, who's working up a sweat just putting in the plays against this Sooners offense. 3rd and 7. Jones, plenty of time, and then finds his man over the middle. That was Camille Jackson for the first down.
You know, there's a sense that a quarterback has. No, number one is the time, and then second, where are you on the field to be able to let go of that ball? He took it right to the line of scrimmage and had great sense of where he was to make that throw.
He was very close to that line, but knew enough to get rid of it and find Jackson. So a first down for the Sooners at the 43. And the whistle comes in. Looked like motion there.
False start, offense, number 59, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Six penalties for 69 yards tonight against Oklahoma. They keep it with Finch, and Finch just to the 43. Here's Robert Flores.
Hey, Joe, for the first time all season, Oregon has not scored in the first quarter. They're down 14-0. Matt Barkley, 2 touchdown passes. This one to Robert Woods, and USC up 14-0 in Eugene. Joe.
How about Monty Kiffin's defense, Matt?
Yeah, when they're on and they can start to dictate some things, he's really tough.
So Oklahoma fans with great interest in the possibility of Oregon catching a loss. They're currently right in front of them in the BCS standings. Here's Finch, and he is out to midfield where it will make for a 3rd and about 3.
3rd and manageable, and that's what Oklahoma has been able to stay in. And this is a tough down, a tough distance right here to be able to defend. Will Bennett going to have to, every now and then he's going to have to roll the dice and go with some man coverage.
Pass on 3rd down. And it is complete for a first down as he finds the backup tight end, Trent Rattery.
Rattery can make the catch because he finds the hole in the zone. You find the hole because you have time. You have time because your offensive line protected you very well.
It's a winning formula for Landry Jones there. Brennan Clay now comes in, a sophomore running back who's been dealing with injuries throughout the year. And Clay gets the call, and he is met right away by Ahmad Dixon. And it was Dixon who had that fumble recovery earlier for Baylor.
Yeah, you can see Dixon right here on your screen, right in front, number 6. And he's just going down and expecting that there will be no movement on the inside because defensively you forced him back to the outside.
And K'Ron Johnson is down for the Bears. Here he's their most explosive defensive lineman. Guy who actually played offense, was a fullback at one point in his career.
They need the size he has, and he has good inside quickness. You know, a week ago when you watch this defense for Baylor, they did not play well at all. Jean-Baptiste, number 90, who's in there right now, is a big man who a year ago played very well next to Phil Taylor, who was a number 1 pick. He had not been playing well at all.
Yeah, and Phil Bennett didn't mince words. He said, listen, if he doesn't play better, he's not playing.
and they didn't start him.
He's forced into action now, obviously, with the injury to Johnson. 2nd and 8. Pistol look now with Jones and Clay behind him, and they go with Brennan Clay, and he is wrapped up right away. A good tackle that time by Sam Hall.
Baylor defense, they're playing pretty good.
Yeah, they're fired up tonight.
They
Matt.
really are. Now there's another 3rd down. Now Oklahoma has been good on 3rd downs here tonight. Baylor has to win this down. They've got to get off the field right here.
Line to make is the 23 on 3rd and 6 for Landry Jones. Pumps one way and then is swallowed up. And it was Nicholas Jean-Baptiste. Phil Bennett lit a fire underneath him. Guess what? He's playing better.
Yeah, he came off the ball with power first into the guard and then converted power and used a little bit of a burst. You're going to watch him right inside. Watch the power into the guard, and then he comes off of it. That's well done.
Just when they needed it most. So backed up now past the 35. Oklahoma to punt. Tress-Way on, and Levi Norwood just setting his heels on the 10. As Way will try to pin them here. And it does take a Sooners bounce, and then he decides to field it. Very dangerous, just picking that out of midair. Fortunately for Baylor, he's able to secure that ball. More when we return.
Presented by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. The 2012 Ford F-150 with available EcoBoost. Visit Ford.com/big score to learn more. And Wendy's Asiago Ranch Chicken Club.
That is the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame and Museum here in Waco, Texas, dedicated to the history and a popular culture of the legendary Texas Rangers. A good-looking display they had there.
Lone Ranger. It's a Texas Ranger. Who else was a Texas Ranger?
Oh, I think, well, got some law enforcement here protecting folks down there on the sideline. You know, Robert Griffin could use a silver bullet here against this Oklahoma defense. They've been keeping him in check in the running game at least. And now they bring pressure, and it's a quick strike this time to Kendall Wright. He has a blocker out in front, past midfield, and there goes Kendall Wright, still on his feet, all the way inside the 30.
Big play by Kendall Wright. Yes, that's half of it. The other half is Robert Griffin. This is an outstanding job by Griffin. He saw everything coming, and then he got a nice block by Sampson, number 3, down the field. And Wright shows not only his speed, but his strength as a runner.
You see how fast Kendall Wright is. And Oklahoma now dealing with an injury and a key member of their defensive front. That is Ronell Lewis. He's a guy who's just a physical freak of a defensive end, has the speed to chase anyone down. He's 5.5 sacks on the year. The medical staff is tending to Lewis. We will take a break. 3-3 game with Baylor on the move. It's a big loss for the Oklahoma defense as Ronell Lewis has made his way over to the sideline with the help of the training staff. You look at the numbers and how productive he has been. That came in the midst of Kendall Wright's 55-yard reception as he set Baylor's season receiving record. 1,149 yards for the senior Kendall Wright. Ganaway, big hole up the middle and a first down for the Bears inside the 15. He was finally tackled by Travis Lewis.
They're going to motion out. You're going to see them widen. That means they're in man coverage. And then Ganaway it takes advantage of the nice block on the inside.
Here's Ganaway again, straight up the middle and into the end zone. Touchdown, Baylor.
Big Griffin inside there, and Blake's in there, and Kaufhold's in there. They did a nice job on the interior. Here comes Kaufhold around on the trap. And then Blake gets up on Wart. And it's just assignment football, man on man, hat on hat. What other cliche can I throw in there? Touchdown.
That was a very good looking drive by Baylor. All sparked by the 55-yard catch and run by Kendall Wright. And then the power game of the 240-pound Terrence Ganaway. Look at the Southwest Airline playbook, and it was that sprint down the near sideline by Kendall Wright.
You know, it's going to be man-to-man outside. And so they're going to bring, you can see they're going to bring 5 guys down inside here. They go 3, it looks like it's going to be 3-on-3 up top. Here comes your 6th, actually. And right here is the key. He has got to jump the coverage early. They come to pressure, and a great decision by Griffin. And because he's dropping down on that, you missed the tackle on the angle. You have to be right on your angle, and then Wright takes it the rest of the way.
And Matt, we spent so much time talking about this Baylor offense and how they have ability to quick strike. That was the 15th scoring drive under a minute this season.
They do that well, and really what it is, it's a little bit of medicine right back to Oklahoma, because they're the same type, and that's what they're going to have right now on this set of downs.
Trey Franks on the return, and Franks caught a seam. He's able to get it past the 25. Tomorrow night on ABC, don't miss the American Music Awards. The one place to see all your favorite artists with performances by Katy Perry and Jennifer Lopez. It's music's biggest nights, the American Music Awards, live tomorrow night at 8, 7 Central on ABC. Now, time to huddle the troops on one side and for Phil Bennett and that defense to fire off again on the other. Oklahoma trailing by 7. Finch, good block out in front, and untouched until he was already past the 10-yard mark and finally ridden down by Sam Hall.
Two things when you're running outside. One, you have to gain the edge, which they do right there with Eichert. Nice block. And then two, it has to be defended. Well, they didn't do a very good job of it. They were able to get to the edge. Stevenson, the left tackle, did a nice job coming down. They pulled inside out and were able to capture that edge.
Stevenson was so far downfield, he was looking for somebody to find it. He was trying to find somebody to block. First down, play action now for Jones. And he gets it complete for an 8-yard gain to Jazz Reynolds. Well, I really like what I see out of Jazz Reynolds.
Yeah, I just think there's a sky's the limit for this kid. You're just looking for a little bit more consistency. You know, when he can do it. He has good hands, but he doesn't always pluck the ball, as we saw on the sidelines. Once he starts doing that consistently, he'll be there. Young man who really matured this past year. He was suspended last year before the Texas game for some immature comments on Twitter. Here's Finch, and Finch with a really good-looking juke move. As Sam Hall came up empty with the missed tackles, Finch picks up the first down. They've had a lot of great running backs here at Oklahoma, and all the great ones have been able to do what Roy Finch just did right there. I think back to Greg Pruitt and Joe Washington, guys like that. He has a little bit of Joe Washington. I say it every time we have them. But that little bit right in there where you can just do that jump cut, he's got it. Now they go with the inside handoff, and that is Trey Millard. Millard goes 249, plays the fullback position, but they'll give him the ball and give him touches in spots like that. He was one of the players they were most excited about in the 2010 recruiting class. Yeah, he's a 250-pound guy. He's got good speed. He can make you miss. He can be a tight end if you want him to be. He's a fullback if you need him to be. He can handle the ball deep in the backfield. Very versatile. 61-yard touchdown run against K-State. He can motor. Second and 7. They get blockers out in front for Stills, and he gets the corner and goes down the sideline before he is eventually forced out by Ahmad Dixon. Giuseppe, who did he follow? Trey Millard. Trey Millard. Yeah. He had the big fullback out in front. This is what he can do. This is just short motion coming from inside out. Now gain the edge. And watch how he takes the first one into the second one and allows for that big play down the left sideline. Boy, Miller did a great job of sealing that edge, too, along with James Hanna, the tight end, out in front. See how dangerous Stills can be when they set him up for spots like that. First and 10 now at the 21. Oh, that was a misconnection. They were coming with the fly sweep, and it was supposed to be the inside handoff to Finch, but instead Jones had to keep it himself. This is where they have not necessarily been very good in this red zone area. You can see here comes the sweep. They're going to fake that, and then Finch is supposed to get it.
I think Stills needed to be a little further along because he was actually almost in the way of what would have been the handoff.
And the mesh wasn't quite
exactly
there.
The timing was just off a bit as those trains almost collided. You see the red zone numbers for Oklahoma. Makes for a 2nd and 11 now. Pressure off the edge from Baylor, and what a play that time by Ahmad Dixon. He came in, took a couple steps, went airborne, and just rejected that effort.
You're going to watch number 6. He's right out here. Dixon's going to come, and here's the great presence to be able to get up and time it perfectly, Joe.
That's a big-time play by Dixon.
And a big 3rd down here.
3rd and 11.
Crowd knows it.
Getting loud here in Waco. Jones has plenty of time, and he gets it complete right at that marker to James Hanna. We'll see where the spot is.
He only rushed 4. Oklahoma had great protection, was able to see the whole field. It's going to be a 4th down, though, Joe.
They're marking him short.
Here comes the Belldozer.
That is Blake Bell. Blake Bell is their 6'6", 245-pound redshirt freshman quarterback who has 12 carries on the year for either a 1st down or a touchdown. Now facing a 4th and short. They call him the Belldozer.
Timeout by Phil Bennett on the sideline of Baylor Bears.
Now Bennett wants to talk things over. It'll be a 4th and short for the Sooners when we return. $245-pound quarterback Blake Bell. He has his own package. They call it the Belldozer, and he's in here on 4th and short to try to convert for the Sooners. He was cut down, but possibly the 2nd surge got it for them. It was Johnson, K'Ron Johnson, who initially came through, but Bell's 2nd effort will be marked ahead of that.
This is going to be close.
And they will measure. Johnson did a good job of getting in against Bell, but then Bell took that one last leap forward, so the chain gang comes on. First down, Oklahoma.
That's all on the Belldozer. And it wasn't with the Belldozer-like power. It was his ability at the end to redirect. There you see that the push forward, and then he's able to make the cut and go. That's really well done by Blake Bell.
So now 21 carries for Bell and 13 have ever been for a 1st down or a touchdown. So a 1st down just outside the 10, so it's not 1st and goal. Here's Finch inside the 5. Good, hard-charging run by a 5'7", 160-pounder.
You can see the maturity in Roy Finch, and you can see that he's picked up his game. Yes, he has that ability to make the jump cuts and all the little movement inside his great feet, but also, as you saw right there, he can be definitive and just come straight up the field hard.
Not the kind of guy you think of as a workhorse, carry the load because of his body, but they really rely on him with Dominique Whaley out for the year. 2nd down now from the 4, and Bell comes back in. And that time he was looking to give to Millard, but a timeout was called. As you see, Bob Stoops just shaking his head, and with that it gives us an opportunity to go back and recount our Aflac trivia question. Matt, we asked folks, Oklahoma's 20-0 all-time against Baylor. Baylor's never had a win against them. Well, who are the other 2 BCS AQ schools with a perfect record against a current conference opponent?
I know one of them
is
my alma mater. Because,
that's right.
And I couldn't tell you the other one.
Well, Penn State 15-0 against Indiana? I mean, the answer really comes in thinking about who's been consistently bad and then who's been good in the conference.
Yeah.
Well, so Duke and Florida State, the long run of 15-0, the Seminoles over the Blue Devils. But you're right, your alma mater, Penn State, 15-0 all time against the Hoosiers.
Sounds kind of weird to say that Penn State got a win today. Tom Bradley is the head coach. Congratulations, Tom Bradley. Well, things are really tough up there, and he's able to get that team focused. That's a credit to his coaching and also to his team to be able to focus on what they had to do.
Blake Bell stays in. Millard is in the backfield with him on second and a long 2. Little delay play, and Bell powers his way into the end zone. Mike Hicks was on the receiving end of the Belldozer.
It was the Belldozer. And what he did was had some good patience, Giuseppe. Watch this. He's going to take the delay, let your people get in front of him, and now pick your spot. Lower your shoulder when you have to. But he's just following old Ripkowski. Good block up front. Well done by Ripkowski.
You had a 255-pound fullback in Ripkowski leading the way for a 245-pound quarterback in Blake Bell. And with that effort, got ourselves a tie game, 10-10. And as we were preparing all week long for this, we were thinking, okay, explosive offenses. You know the quick pace of Oklahoma. You know what they're going to do. If I told you Baylor was going to be right in this game, you wouldn't think 10-10 with some sound defensive efforts.
No, what you would have thought was that Robert Griffin III was having a big night. Right. And that he was either running, beating with your feet, or making some nice throws. And both those things are here, but it's been the defense. And I think Phil Bennett's defense, he's rolled the dice a few times. They've played physical up front, and I think that has really kept them in this game in this first half.
Yeah, they played inspired football, and then Oklahoma here on this last drive coming down, grinding out that 4th down with Bell, and then getting things done down at the goal line. But Griffin, you always have the sense that at any point he can have the explosive play. He had the big play, the 55-yarder to Kendall Wright. They scored on that drive in just under a minute. And he's one of the most dynamic playmakers in all of college football. Oklahoma, number 5 in the country, trying to stay alive for position in the BCS title game. This is a short kick that's fielded by Goodley, and he dives ahead, crossing the 30.
Well, that last drive, Joe, it was all about Robert Griffin to start. Kendall Wright with the big play, gets a little help from his friend down the field. But that was the big one at 55 yards. And then their running game, Gadaway just powered up inside for a big first down and then finished it off. So big play and then quick strike with the inside power game worked for them the last time. See what they come back with.
And Matt, I think you'd agree that one of the best things they could do in terms of keeping the pressure off RG3 is that power running game with Ganaway.
Which didn't exist at the start of this game. They couldn't run a lick.
But back to business is Griffin. He's going to launch it downfield looking for Reese, and he's wide open. What did we say about quick strike? How about that?
Giuseppe, it was play action. That's part of it. But the route that was run was just beautiful. It doesn't get much better than that.
69-yard touchdown reception to Tevin Reese, and you can see how upset Bob Stoops is as Baylor instantly returns after Oklahoma had just punched it in.
Let's just take a nice look at this touchdown on what they do. They're going to go play action, but Tevin Reese uses anticipation defensively against the defense. You're going to watch the play action inside here. Tevin Reese is on the outside, seemingly going to cross. You wait, and then he starts to anticipate him going this way, and then it's back up the field. And what a beautiful throw by Griffin. There's the fake, there's the bite. Now here's the transition. See how the safety is biting down inside, anticipating a crossing route. Well, they use the anticipation against you. That's really, really well done.
And Matt, this speaks to what we talked about at the beginning of the night, of the more mature and polished and comfortable quarterback play of Robert Griffin as his career has moved on.
Yeah, you can see it, man. We talked about it at the top of the show. We said you could see it from the beginning of the season to now. He's gotten better, and he has.
That brings this place alive. A touchdown lead again. Trey Franks. And Trey Franks with a good return for Oklahoma, fighting his way, still going all the way out to the 45-yard line. Coming up at the half, stay tuned. Enjoying John Anderson, Jesse Palmer, and the Capital One halftime report for all the scores and highlights from today's college football action. It has been a wildly entertaining couple days of college football. Of course, the talk about with what happened last night, Oklahoma State, maybe the upset of the year, losing at Iowa State. USC giving Oregon all they can handle tonight. And Bob Stoops demanding better from Mr. Harris on the sideline, hoping that they can stay alive and be in that argument of the great debate of who's the best one-loss team as we close in on the end of this season. And another flag. Looked like motion up front.
Ball start. Offense. Number 69. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Von Harris getting a little earful on the sideline. I've been there before. I understand. I know that route. That's a tough route to defend because you want to jump it and you want to stay on the top shoulder. And in your anticipation, they get you. And the only thing you could do is run for your life, and it was too late.
Chasing Tevin Reese, 69-yard touchdown. Inside handoff this time as Finch just scoots to the outside. Baylor was able to contain things a bit.
Hey, in this game, sometimes you get them, and sometimes you get got. He got that time.
And now Javon Harris is getting an earful.
He'll make a play.
2nd and 15. Remember, Baylor has never defeated Oklahoma. Ball was tipped and then caught and then spinning free as Jackson. Individual effort there. He is down there just beyond midfield. Neil Jackson, one of those guys playing a larger role with the absence of Ryan Broyles, who's out for the year with a torn ACL. The NCAA all-time leader in career receptions is Ryan Broyles. 3rd and 5.
Camille Jackson, just another one of those talented freshmen that he's playing on that offense.
And Bob Stoops is going to use a timeout here with just 1:05 left in the half and facing a 3rd and 5. And that gives us a chance to look at the BCS standings. You know, just when we thought, Matt, that everything was so simple and there was a clear path, complete and utter chaos, and it started up in Ames, Iowa.
It started in Ames, Iowa last night. And there's still more going on with Oregon right there, trailing 21-7. We have another humdinger going on here with Oklahoma. And Oklahoma, like Aaron Andrews told us at the start when he's talking to Coach Stoops, that look, everything's in front of them. All you have to do is just keep winning. A lot of things can happen. Well, one of the things that can happen is if you don't play well, this Baylor team can put it on you in a hurry like we just saw.
Then they have that Iowa State team next week before Bedlam at Oklahoma State on December 3rd. Here's your 3rd and 5. Jones going to try to do it on his own, and he comes up well short that time. It was Elliott Coffey who came up to meet Landry Jones.
Coffey ends up making the tackle. The play was made by the secondary. and they're going to go for it here on 4th down. That secondary had excellent coverage and forced them to pull that ball down.
See Phil Bennett preparing his defense for 4th down here. Half a minute to go in the half. Play clock running down, game clock running down, and they're giving the look of going for it. But they're just going to let that thing burn and leave 20 seconds and use a timeout.
You have 4th down and short. What you have to be able to do is you don't really have a quarterback. Oh, they're going to punt now. If they were going to go for it, he's not a guy who really gives you that second option. So you have to put the option in somebody else's hands. But he took it away from him. He's going to punt and live for the second half.
Dell's the guy that they've used in those short yardage situations. So Bob Stoops makes the decision here to kick it away and likely go into the locker room trailing number 22 by a touchdown.
Giuseppe Guillermo.
See.
I don't believe.
Italiano.
Exactly. I don't believe that's a very happy coach over there in that side. He is not pleased.
And Way's kick bounces and it goes inside the 10-yard line, inside the 5-yard line. That's a beautiful kick by the left-footed punter, Tress Way. Tomorrow morning on ESPN, don't miss Sunday NFL Countdown. Join Boomer, TJ, Mike Ditka, Chris Carter, Keyshawn Johnson, Coach Parcells. You got 3 hours of insight and analysis. Get you all set for a big day of Sunday's NFL action. It's Sunday NFL Countdown presented by IBM tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN.
It's a good group of guys right there. You want to talk some good football? I have a blast with those guys. At Ditka, I'm a big Ditka fan. The Bears.
Well, right now it is these Bears.
He's got to gain some ground.
He actually does. You know, he was smothered down there, and he does, as Griffin will close out this first half with a touchdown lead over number 5. Baylor has never defeated Oklahoma. 0 for 20. Let's check in with Aaron.
Coach, after Baylor's quick strike, we saw you talking to Javon Harris. What would you like your defense to pay attention to here on situations like that?
He's a deep player. Stay on top. He's just biting on. He's trying to play it too tight.
You also mentioned before the game taking care of the task at hand, you know, not looking ahead. What's the number one thing they need to worry about here at the half?
Nobody's doing any of that. We just haven't played very well offensively. Defensively, we played good up until that play.
Thanks, Coach. All right.
Thanks, Aaron. Aaron brought up Javon Harris. He was beat on that 69-yard touchdown by Tevin Reese. 17-10 Baylor. Now let's go to John Anderson and Jesse Palmer for the Capital One halftime report. Gentlemen. Southwest Airlines. Joe Tessitore, Matt Millen, Aaron Andrews with you here in Waco. Baylor has never defeated Oklahoma in 20 attempts, but right now a halftime lead, 17-10. And Matt, stats are fairly comparable from the first half. The difference in my eyes, the big quick strike ability downfield with the receivers of the Bears.
Yeah, there's no question, the 2 big plays down the field, but lost in all this, at the beginning of the game, we saw that Oklahoma defense pounding Robert Griffin every time he threw the ball. All of a sudden, they've started to protect, give him time, and he's able to make those throws. And then Phil Bennett, the defensive, let me get that straight, the defensive coordinator for the Baylor Bears, he has dialed up a couple of nice pressures, and he's taken some chances, and they've paid off in the first half.
Now let me offer you this. As you see Bennett there, who's going to have to do more of that defensive effort. Oklahoma gets the ball to start the second half. They've outscored opponents 118-10 in the third quarters of games this year. So look for the Sooners to potentially get on the board quick here in this second half. Here is Finch on the return. And Roy Finch out past the 30-yard line. So our Pack Life game summary and those big plays that we were describing.
Well, you talked about him because once Robert Griffin had a little time, and there was pressure in his face, Kendall Wright, 55 yards, led to that big touchdown by Gadaway. And then, again, 69-yarder to Tevin Reese. The blown coverage by the Sooners resulted in 6 quick.
That is our Pacific Life game summary. And as you see Griffin's numbers, of course he is opposite one of the most statistically impressive quarterbacks in the game, Landry Jones, back out on the field. Here's Brennan Clay, and Clay a gain of about 2, and here's Aaron Andrews.
Hey, Joe, you talk about the quick strike by Robert Griffin at the end of the first half there. Well, and speaking to his head coach, Art Briles, he said he wants to have quick tempo here in the second half. He thought they sort of slacked off a little bit. They need to pick it up. As for the defense, he is so happy with them. Said in the second half, need to play with a little bit of emotion, but he loves their tenacity.
And he could also use plays that sparkle as much as those shoes you're wearing tonight, EA. Jones, he has the strike downfield, and he connects with James Hanna, who breaks free inside the 20, all the way down to about the 12-yard line. Impressive stuff by Jones and Hanna.
Well, we talked about the speed and the athletes that are on this roster, and it's play action to the left that's designed to pull the middle of the field to that left side. Hanna fills that right side void with a perfect strike from the quarterback.
54-yard reception to the big tight end. Brennan Clay now straight up the middle, and Clay with about 8.5 yards, finally taken down by Sam Hall.
That was attitude, and where it showed up was in the offensive line. That was pure power. They came off the ball, good fundamentals, and fundamentals is the key at any level of football. It's fundamentals which got them beat on those big plays in the first half, and now it's carrying them, looks like, that offensive line.
And the big quarterback, Blake Bell, comes in. 2nd and 2. Now handoff Millard, and he just bulls his way in for the score. We told you, Oklahoma in the 3rd quarter this year, they're used to romping.
And they got a little bit of a chewing at halftime because they came back with fundamental football. And that starts up front. Donald Stevenson, the left tackle, 59. Shed, 74, the guard. Eichert, the center. Tyler Evans, 75 inside. Lane Johnson, 69, the right tackle. They came off with what you call a flat back and moved that line of scrimmage.
And now Michael Honeycutt ties it up. They didn't waste any time at all. They had the big strike to James Hanna, and then the power game with Trey Millard. We got a tie ball game here in Waco. High pressure kind of game for Oklahoma with so much riding in these last few weeks of the season, and nobody knows that better than Coach Bob Stoops. This is what he looked like just about a half an hour ago when they were trailing by 7 and somebody was getting a talking to. And this is what he looks like, Matt, moments ago tying up the game.
That's the happy Bob right now. In the first half, he was the not so happy Bob, and now he's just a pensive Bob.
The only coach to reach all 4 BCS Bowl games and the national title game, and he's hoping to somehow pull that out this year in the chaos that is turning into the BCS rankings right now. Antoine Goodley on the return, and Goodley is taken down at about the 23. We check in with Robert Flores.
All right, Joe, AT&T All-America Player of the Week update. Arkansas quarterback Tyler Wilson, worthy nominee. 3 touchdowns, 365 yards as Arkansas handled Mississippi State today. You can text VOTE to 55862 for a chance at a trip to the national title. And this coming Friday, Arkansas takes on #1 LSU.
Yeah, Arkansas, a team that can disrupt the BCS as well, as they will play LSU next week, and they're so talented with Tyler Wilson and Jarius Wright and Joe Adams at receiver. Robert Griffin III, batted in the air, and it falls harmlessly to the ground. That was Casey Walker who had the deflection there. Casey Walker is wearing number 12 tonight. That is in honor of Austin Box, who passed away this offseason under tragic circumstances, and his memory still lives on every week. They leave an open spot in the pregame stretches. Locker remains untouched, and the number 12 carries on. And nowhere to go that time. Frank Alexander and Corey Nelson were quick to get to Terrence Ganaway.
Two guys that we spoke a lot of in the first half. They were bringing pressure, and Alexander was beating Cyril Richardson, that right tackle, pretty regular in that first quarter, and then it slowed down. Big third down here for both sides.
Remember, Oklahoma defense playing without Ronell Lewis, their star defensive end, who was injured earlier. 3rd and 11. Griffin, all kinds of time, and that's going to be close to the line to make as Kendall Wright came up with the catch.
Looks
like
like
Travis Lewis who tackled him, Matt.
Looks like a good spot right there. It depends which foot he puts it on, his right or his left.
Remember, our yellow line is not an official marker.
But a nice job by Wright to have a presence of where that the sticks are.
It's a good job by Travis Lewis to jump immediately on Kendall Wright, force him back. Let's see if the forward progress did indeed get him the first down. You got a credit card in your wallet, Matt?
No, I'm a cash guy.
It's going to be 4th and about an Amex.
Well, they're going to bring out the big boys. Maybe try a false count here.
From their own 34?
Yeah, try to get them to jump, perhaps. You never know, Art Briles. Yeah.
Well, it's happened before in big spots like this with teams trying to disrupt things and get a signature win. Randy Edsall did it from his own 19 last year against Pitt and converted it, and they went to a BCS Bowl. Griffin, you tell me.
No.
I don't think so at all. That was David King stepping up. And this is a turnover on downs. How about that from David King?
Art Briles dialed it up. And they being Oklahoma, they won the battle up front. And they won it by coming off the ball low. And you think their defensive coordinator, Brett Venables, is fired up about that? All they have to do is be as intense as their defensive coordinator, and they'll play well.
David King, by the way, is the guy who's filling in for the injured Lewis.
That was big. They came off the ball nice and low.
And now it's great field position for Oklahoma to take the lead here. Jones, downfield strike, and that is complete inside the 5 to Kenny Stills.
That was all Kenny Stills. That ball is underthrown on purpose, and then it's up to the athleticism and the kinesthetic sense that Kenny Stills brings to the receiving position.
And this is the spot on the field where big Blake Bell re-enters the game, the 6'6", 245-pound redshirt freshman. He is basically the direct snap power back. Trey Millard also in the backfield with him. Bell looking for room and finding it with ease, his 2nd touchdown of the night.
Joe, they go to power. They know that they're letting you know they're going to come with power. And Ripkowski, he's in there for a reason. Millard's in there for a reason. You see those 2 big blocks?
Blowing it up.
That's the reason. They're physical, and they're just saying, listen, we're going to blow you off the ball, and then they go and do it.
Millard goes 249, Matt. Ripkowski goes 255, and they're clearing the way for a 6'6", 245 quarterback. Excuse me? And it is a touchdown lead for the Sooners. Remember, Baylor went for it on 4th and short. David King stopped Robert Griffin III. Venables was loving it. And now a touchdown lead is the reward.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows in theaters December 16th. And Citizen Echo Drive, fueled by light. It never needs a battery. Unstoppable.
Waco, Texas is home to Dr. Pepper, the oldest major soft drink manufacturer in the U.S. And the Dr. Pepper Museum includes the original 1906 bottling plant, one of the finest collections of memorabilia in the world with soft drinks. It's one of the first things you think about when you think Waco. A cold Dr. Pepper and a little barbecue.
And the bridge.
Yep. And if the Baylor Bears can get after it here, maybe a signature win to this college football season. But right now, it's Oklahoma's typical third quarter effort that has them up 24-17. Short kick returned by Goodley. And Goodley still on his feet and finally driven out at about the 27. Time for our Big 12 Conference update, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. All the attention put to that one loss now in the column of Oklahoma State, as you see Oklahoma trying to meet up with them for the Bedlam game that will be on December 3rd. The plan for Oklahoma all along was to be the ones that handed Oklahoma State their first loss and use that as a springboard to make their argument to be in the BCS title game. Now, a little bit has been lost on that game, but still, with what's happening in college football last night and currently tonight with USC up big on Oregon, Oklahoma still very much in the mix. Who knows the way the next few weeks will play out. LSU still has to play Arkansas. A lot to be determined. That was the Dr. Pepper 10. Griffin underneath to Kendall Wright. He tries to shake free, and he gets it to the 35, tackled by Harris.
You know, Joe, I've had this Oklahoma Sooner team 3 times this year. And every time we've had them, they've come out just absolutely smoking in the third quarter. And that, to me, is a credit to the adjustments by their coaching staff.
It's going to be a yard short is Ganaway. Here's Robert Flores.
All right, Joe. Another studio update, and it's University of Texas just up I-35 or down I-35 from where you're at in Waco. Case McCoy to Blake Bell, and Texas within 7, and Oregon getting blown out at USC.
Baylor gets a first down. Oregon getting blown out against USC. USC has just scored again. And what a shakeup to the landscape of college football this weekend. If USC can hold on against Oregon, you know what happened in the thriller with Iowa State against Oklahoma State. BCS standings just thrown into that blender. Here's Lanier Sampson, and he's able to get it past midfield to the 49.
Joe, and all those things going on in college football right back here at Baylor, what they need to do is get another quick strike. And then defensively, they've got to be able to do what they were doing in the first half. They can't give up big plays, but it starts right here with a big play offense.
Griffin escapes. Oh, what an effort by Wright to even go up and put a hand on that ball.
Man, that was on both sides, Joe. First, Griffin, the third, right here. Watch him make a miss, and then have the wherewithal to find him. Gets drilled by Ward.
2nd and 10. Downfield. Complete! Oh, no! He took a couple steps with it, did Terrence Williams, but couldn't hold on. Looked like he was running with it in stride, Matt.
He had it. That is an awesome throw by Griffin the third. It looks like that hit woke him up, because this thing is, look at this window he throws it into. Right there. Never has control of the ball.
3rd and 10, and that time he overthrows Lanier Sampson. So the Oklahoma defense dodges a bullet there, as Williams was unable to control that ball that he was running in stride with into the end zone. and instead they come up empty on a 3rd and 10.
Well, it looks like they're gonna throw the punt team out there now. But there was a little debate on the sideline there. There was a mix-up between Griffin and Sampson.
Spencer Roth does come on. As Griffin, helmet off, over to the sideline. It has been a big start to the 3rd quarter for Oklahoma. They've outscored opponents this year, now 132-10 in 3rd quarter action. And the fair catch by Stills inside the 15.
You know, Joe, when you look at this Oklahoma team, there's a lot of things that go into the passing game. One is protection, but one on top of that is the passing lanes that are formed because of the protection. And Landry Jones has had easy lanes to throw into, and it makes for good mechanics and also great vision. And when you have that vision, you're able to be that much more accurate. You can see this nicely done up front by the offensive line, and those passing and throwing lanes are picture perfect.
Landry Jones, you see what he's done since that 7-13 start. See if he can keep himself hot here in the 3rd. And he quickly gets it on the play action. As he was able to find the fullback Millard.
Trey Millard, he's so versatile. We watched him tonight, and in the short yardage situations, pounding guys with his blocking. We've watched him carry the ball a couple times, but he can catch it. He blocks at the line of scrimmage. That's a very valuable football player.
See how upset Terrence Williams is over on the Baylor bench. And meanwhile, Rodney Chadwick is down at the end of that play on the sideline. He is the starting weak side linebacker. Guy who's a very active linebacker himself, but Williams being consoled by some of those offensive teammates. And it was moments ago when Baylor thought they were tying up this game. Look at this, in stride.
Yeah, and you don't get many of those opportunities. And so when they do come, you've got to capitalize on them. And it's really the small things. So all of you high school players out there, it's concentration, it's looking the ball in, it's securing the ball, it's all of those things, what are just the fundamentals of the game that makes the difference between a good and a great play.
And that would have been a great one. Aaron, the mood has changed down there on the field, huh?
It certainly has, and when we look at the shot of Williams with his head down, you know, Art Briles even stopped by for just a minute and said, you got to pick your head up, we're going to need you, and all his teammates, as you guys noted, trying to help him out here.
So a 1st and 10 for Oklahoma at the 25. Jones gets away from the pressure and then gets the back Finch for a gain of 8.5 yards, and he was hit hard by K.J. Morton. As they continue to work on Rodney Chadwick, this is a defense that can't afford to have its best players out of action. Brody Trahan is the backup linebacker who will see time in place of Chadwick. He's a former dual threat quarterback who made the move over to defense. 2nd and 1. Finch cuts back, cuts to the outside, stays on his feet, picks up a block, and is able to scoot himself out of bounds at the 45.
I want you to watch his lateral cuts, his lateral movement, seemingly going forward, and then he is just so good right there. See that? That lateral movement is what separates him from the pack.
Finch the lone back here on 1st down. Jones. He has options. Oh, that was overthrown, but strangely, Stills. And a little extra something with K.J. Morton.
I don't know what that one was about with Stills, but he had the route, lots of time to make that throw, and then it just looks like he either tripped on him or the turf monster got him. Something
yeah, he just
got
went
him
down to the ground, Matt. Instead of going up for that ball, Stills was all of a sudden on the turf.
Yeah, that's just on him. I don't know what he'd be mad about.
Well, I think he may be mad on the way that Morton came back and turned around and said a little something, and they weren't trading cookie recipes. 2nd and 10 now. Looking for Clay out of the backfield, and just a minimal gain that time for the sophomore back from California.
Big 3rd down for the Baylor Bears. Down 7. They've given up 2 scores here in the 3rd quarter. They've got to capture some of the momentum back. And this 3rd down could swing it.
They only send 3 after Landry Jones, and it's going to be short of the line to make. A flag is down, though, in the backfield, all the way back at the 42-yard line.
It's going to be a hold against Oklahoma. They're going to have to decide whether they want to roll the dice if Oklahoma would go for it on
holding offense number 59. That penalty's declined. Result of the play, 4th down.
So it'll be 4th down at the 46. And Bob Stoops with the touchdown lead sends out Tressway. Punt this thing away.
That was a big stop.
It really was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really
because
was.
You could just feel that all the momentum and energy had left Floyd Casey Stadium, and they need to find a way to get it back after such a successful first half. And that punt was juggled by Norwood for just a moment before he was able to secure it at the 16. Oh, what could have been for the Baylor Bears, but they get another chance when we return. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup concludes with the Ford 400 at Homestead, Miami. It's going to begin 2 Eastern on ESPN with NASCAR Countdown presented by Napa. Here's what you need to know. Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart are in a heavyweight fight for the big prize. Just 3 points separating them. They've talked enough all week. Now they got to get after it tomorrow.
Full contact racing. That's what I like to see.
They got me interested. I got to be honest with you, Matt. Well, of course, I've read the promo about 400 times in the last 2 days, but they got me interested. And that is incomplete. A flag is down. He was looking for Tevin Reese.
Illegal motion, offense number 16. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Art Briles looks on as his team had so much momentum at the end of the first half, a 17-10 lead. They had that big strike, the 69-yarder to Reese, but in this second half, well, that look says it all. It's been typical Oklahoma as the number 5 team in the country. Has scored 2 touchdowns. Millard had the touchdown run. Big Blake Bell came in from a couple yards out. And Griffin is now searching for answers with this Bears offense. Keeps it himself, and he is crunched after a gain of 2, and another flag comes in.
Well, if you questioned Robert Griffin III's toughness, that question's been answered because he has been taking some shots tonight.
Illegal shift, offense. 2 men moving without resetting. That penalty's declined. 2nd down.
You know, typically the rap on track guys, and he's a world-class hurdler, is that you wouldn't give that descriptive to him.
No, you would not. You would say that they're steeped in a pusillanimous sort of fashion.
A world-class hurdler who won the Big 12 hurdles when he was an early enrollee in the spring that he came to Baylor out of high school. It should have been his senior year in high school. Instead, he was a track All-American. 2nd and 13. And that ball is floating in the air and picked up by Kendall Wright. Touchdown Bears. Sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good. The bounce into the arms goes for an 87-yard touchdown.
You know, Joe, let me just say this right now. This is going to be the top play on the Sports Center top 10 play. Guaranteed.
Lock it in. 87-yard touchdown. The ball tipped in the air, and Kendall Wright picks it out and runs it in. It was intended for Tevin Reese,
who stopped his route, slowed his route down, allowed the defender, actually they undercut him and got a hand on it, but as fate would have it, took it straight in the air, and Kendall Wright's right there. Watch Tevin Reese, he's the inside guy right up top. Now he slows his route down, and Ward gets his hand on it, pops it in the air. Kendall Wright, touchdown.
What a way to tie up the game against the 5th-ranked team in the country. And sometimes, Matt, you need those kind of plays to pull off this kind of a game.
There's no question. And Robert Griffin III is like, yeah, I can't believe that just happened.
And he looks to the heavens and says, I'll take it. Now, any way you can get it when you're playing Oklahoma.
The lesson to be learned there was that Kendall Wright never quit. He kept on going, and the hustle end of that play turned into 6.
Great point. Here's Trey Franks. And Franks is met at the 27-yard line by Cordarius Golston. So Oklahoma surged ahead with 2 quick strikes, and then all of a sudden, luck came Baylor's way as Wright never gave up on the play and went 87 yards. Glacial expressions over on the Sooner side. Riles looking for some support here at Floyd Casey in this crowd, knowing the defense could use it against Landry Jones and the Sooners offense. Finch spins out of the way and just gets back to the line of scrimmage as Nicholas Jean-Baptiste would not let go of him.
Yeah, it looks like Jean-Baptiste, he came to play tonight. A week ago, he did not play well. I watched that tape, and it was, for a guy with his skills, was embarrassing.
Phil Bennett told us if he doesn't play better, he's not playing. He's been playing better tonight, Matt, right?
He's been playing pretty darn good.
2nd and 10. Jones looking over his options and then decides to run it and makes a very nice move to get ahead for the 1st down.
Not known as a runner. And what he does when he pulls it down, he's going to make you miss right there. Who's that, Mason? Yeah, Gary Mason Jr. Not good.
11-yard scamper for Landry Jones. You know what he can do through the air, and you see it with the 300-plus yard games consistently showing up in his box score. And here's Roy Finch, and Finch is corralled. Very good pursuit that time by Mike Hicks and Chris McAllister, both of them getting over there for Baylor.
Yeah, and they made the tackle, but Ahmad Dixon made the play. He did not allow him to get off and get to the outside, which is where he really wanted to get to. But he fought off the block and forced it back inside and allowed the others to make the play.
One of the highest ranked recruits in decades to come to Baylor is Dixon. 2nd and 9. Pressure up the middle, and they got to him.
There's our guy,
Nicholas Jean-Baptiste.
I like that he's making plays because I like to say Jean-Baptiste.
Parlez-vous.
And he can turn around, though, and thank his coverage because they had nowhere to go with this ball. Well done, keeping the top to the coverage the whole time. Underneath is there as well, and then Jean-Baptiste with a big sack.
They need to get to midfield here on 3rd down. Crowd has come alive. Tie game, looking for a defensive stop. And it's incomplete off the hands of Kenny Stills.
And he knows it. He knows he just wasted a great throw and a big opportunity. 3rd and long. He gets to where he has to get the hole in the zone. And the ball's right where it needs to be. And he doesn't pull it in. That's on him.
Remember, Ryan Broyles, the ultimate go-to guy, out for the year with that torn ACL. The NCAA all-time leader in career receptions. Somebody has to step up for Oklahoma. Tressway with the boot. Directional kick that was a bit short, but takes an Oklahoma bounce all the way to the 15-yard line. Some of the big plays from Baylor tonight. Kendall Wright streaking and going 55 yards. He became the single-season receiving record holder with that. And then Reese on the glory end from Robert Griffin III. But moments ago, one of the best plays of the week you'll see. The tip ball and Kendall Wright, 87-yard touchdown reception to tie this game. A game that has great implications on the BCS standings because Oklahoma right now sitting at number 5 is one of those one-loss teams that's going to try to make their argument. You got Oregon losing. Oklahoma State has already caught a loss. They have to win here to stay in the hunt. Incomplete on 1st down.
I'm a little surprised out of Baylor's offense that they don't. Now, that time they did actually try to move Griffin out of the pocket and get him on the run. But I'm surprised I haven't seen more of that, moving the quarterback to take a little bit of that pass rush away.
Phil Montgomery is the offensive coordinator. You see it there, talking to the headset, dead center. See what he dials up here on 2nd and 10. As Kenny Stills looks on, could have kept his team on the field on that last offensive play for the Sooners.
Oh, he's
going to take a shot again for Reese. And he just overthrew him by maybe half a step.
There's a major mix-up in the coverage for the Oklahoma Sooners. They ended up getting a linebacker, Travis Lewis, on Reese. That should never happen. There's got to be deep help somehow.
Stills knows what that feels like. And he's rooting on his defense as Bob Stoops just shakes his head, trying to avoid the dangers of the capable Robert Griffin III. 3rd and 10 now. And a timeout is going to be called by Coach Art Briles and the Baylor Bears. Time for tonight's Big Picture, brought to you by Sony. .24 here in Waco. And as for some of the storylines that everybody's talking about last night, the thriller up in Ames. Oklahoma State handed their first loss. Meanwhile, Clemson, who was 9-1, battered by NC State. Michigan State is headed to the Big Ten title game. And Georgia, after that slow start to their year, will find a home in the SEC championship game. Most think they will play LSU, but remember, Arkansas awaits the #1 Tigers. Third and 10 now for Griffin. Steps up against the pressure and completes it for a first down to Kendall Wright.
That was really well done by Griffin. His eyes were down the field the whole time. And Kendall Wright, you see him going in motion to the bottom of your screen. He knows where Wright is right away. And there it comes to the middle of the field.
Quick snap to Ganaway, and he runs for close to 10 yards. Good inside run by the 240-pound senior. Now they pick up that pace, Matt.
And they need to. They keep him off balance. It's the same thing that Oklahoma tries to do to their opposition. And now they're getting a little bit of the dose back at him.
Well, you just blink with Robert Griffin, and he's over 300 yards. He's gone for 330 and 2 touchdowns. Looking to add to that here. But here with green grass ahead of him, look at the speed. And he smartly settles in before making contact inside the 35. But you give him that one moment to make a decision, and he's downfield.
And he noticed it right away. He saw the coverage, and he saw the passing lane, which turned into a running lane, and you're not catching him.
24-yard run by RG3. Now it's Ganaway's turn. And he will be tackled for a loss that time by Corey Nelson and Tony Jefferson.
If you're sitting at home and you're wondering why the official stood over the ball, they substituted offensively, so he has to allow the defense time to do it.
That is Tony Jefferson. Plays that hybrid linebacker safety. They call it the Roy Williams position after one of the all-time greats.
And Jefferson's play sets up this 3rd and long for Baylor.
3rd and 17, trying to get down to the 25-yard line. Empty backfield for Griffin. Can he get out of that mess? Backed all the way up to his 40. And then he is able to get it complete, but obviously well short as he found Jared Salubi.
The guy who's impressive. Now we know that Robert Griffin III has world-class speed, but Corey Nelson is in hot pursuit of him, and he does not back down or lose a step as in his chase.
Seems like we've called his name a lot tonight, doesn't it?
I'm really impressed with him.
They are going for it on 4th and 11, I guess in what they consider no man's land of the 36-yard line. Risk reward, will they get it? They bring pressure on 4th and 11. And a diving effort that time by Terrence Williams, as well as the flag. Remember what happened just moments ago with Williams.
Pass interference. Defense, number 32. That penalty's declined. First down.
On 4th and 11, Williams pays them back.
Against their best defender, and yes, it's the right call, and Williams, with the long face of the sideline, now can put a smile on it.
Baylor threatening now. Look at that play action. Did he ever sell that? Touchdown, Jordan Niver. Oh my, did RG3 sell it, and did Oklahoma buy it?
We got ourselves a humdinger going on. Because RG3, 370 yards throwing, a lot of big plays in this game, some great catches.
Earlier in this 3rd quarter, Oklahoma had all the momentum. But Baylor now has scored 2 unanswered.
Okay, here's the sell right here. Hard sell down inside. Let everybody bite. And then here he comes. Delayed off the top side. Ball where it has to be. See how he threw it to the outside of Wirt? Hard sell right there. Gets everybody, and they caught him in a blitz.
And Jordan Niver, who is from Houston, he was a good recruit, who actually went out and started his career playing at Stanford. But he was a Texan who wanted to come back home, and he scores there, does the 6'6", 260-pound transfer from the Pac-12 in what Baylor is hoping will be one of the biggest wins they've ever had in school history. They've never beat Oklahoma.
That doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. The flag comes in as Oklahoma will have good field position with that penalty.
Free kick out of bounds. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 40-yard line. 1st and 10.
Tuesday night, don't miss an all-new episode of ABC's Last Man Standing, nominated for the People's Choice Award for Best New Comedy. Tim Allen is the Last Man Standing, Tuesday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on ABC. Well, I don't know that Sully from Monsters, Inc. is going to be the last man standing, but the question for college football fans is who will be one of the last teams standing in the BCS standings, which will be revealed Sunday night, 8:15 on ESPN. Reese Davis and the guys. There's going to be a lot of intrigue when Reese reveals the new BCS standings. Oklahoma State lost, Oregon is losing, and who knows what will go down here in Waco as number 5 trails now by a touchdown. Brandon Williams, just about 1.5 yards for the true freshman from Brookshire, Texas, one of the top recruits in the country.
And that play, the tackle was made inside, but Jean-Baptiste made the play. Had a nice push up the field and forced everything back inside where it looked like Coffey was able to clean it up.
They needed the big 335-pound space filler to have a big night, and he's doing so. 2nd and 9 now. Empty for Landry Jones. A little bit of pressure off the edge, but he gets it complete out to the 47-yard line to James Hanna.
James Hanna's had a nice night here tonight.
Sure has.
Had a couple of big plays, and now we got that 3rd down.
4 catches for 90 yards for Hanna, and once again, Floyd Casey as the last 20 seconds of the 3rd quarter count down. The crowd comes alive. 3rd and 3.
Phil Bennett is signaling as fast as he can on the sidelines.
Could it be one of those special nights here in Waco when finally victory is theirs over the Sooners? 0 for 20 previously.
Most wireless networks tempt you into signing up and forget about you. What if you had a network that stuck with you, adapted to you, and searched for things you want, like apps that were just right for you? Looks like the network found something for him. C-Spire. Personalized wireless.
The perfect world adventure is one that's personalized for you. Register for a chance to win, in-store or online.
I always tell you that Hyundai's cost less in Pensacola. Well, that's not just advertising, so let me tell you why. First, it's our selection. Because we outsell our competition here along the Gulf Coast, we earn more Hyundais from the factory. Second, because of our low overhead, we're able to take a volume sales approach. And third, because we don't have that extravagant overhead, we never have to pressure our customers to buy anything. So come to Allen Turner Hyundai and let us prove to you that Hyundais really do cost less in Pensacola.
Dodges, Chryslers, and Jeeps, they all cost less in Milton.
After our game tonight for your late local news on most of these ABC stations, and over on ESPN you can catch SportsCenter for post-game analysis of this game as well as all of today's scores and highlights. We got a thriller here in Waco, and Oklahoma is facing a 3rd and 3 against the upset-minded Baylor Bears. And complete for the first down to Trey Millard. Glad you're with us. Joe Tessitore, Matt Millen, and Aaron Andrews here in Waco, Texas. Number 5 Oklahoma trying to stay alive in the BCS title hunt as a 1-loss team. Baylor has never defeated the Sooners. 0 for 20. And they're up a touchdown. Stills unable to get to the edge as he was forced out by Elliott Coffey. Jones intercepted. K.J. Morton with the pickoff.
That's on Landry Jones. Morton plays it well. He had position the whole time. Landry Jones, just an errant throw. Well protected. You see Hannah at the top. And you see he was just hanging back there. He was waiting on it. Great job of sinking your coverage. Poor read by Landry Jones. He knows it too, Joe.
He does indeed. Jones, who has broken all the all-time records and been so good for so long, but at a crucial time like that, mistakes can be costly. Let's see if Baylor makes them pay. Griffin downfield, and in stride is Sampson. He breaks free, cuts down to the 24-yard line. Here come the Bears.
Keep in mind, this was the offensive line that was getting pummeled at the beginning of the game, but not anymore. And because of the protection, Sampson gets to the middle of the field, and then he's just off to the races.
50-yard reception for Lanier Sampson. Well, the crowd doesn't like that at all, Matt.
Well, I know they don't like it, but it's the rule.
Exactly.
And because the reason it's the rule, you can go hurry up, but because you're changing personnel offensively,
you have to give them the opportunity.
You have to give them the opportunity. And now if they don't, if they just go hurry up, like Oklahoma goes up real fast to keep the same personnel, then they can catch you off guard.
So because they changed personnel, that is the call there. So instead they slow it down here before this 1st and 10. Oh, a bad snap. And Griffin is going to try to make the most of it, and incomplete is what he needs.
That is smart.
And that'll get it back to the line of scrimmage. Had he just jumped on the ball, that's a disaster.
And it took a fortuitous bounce. He's able to pick it up. But this thing, he's not even ready for it. It just goes flying past his left shoulder. You see how it just bounces up, and he's able to get outside the tackle box and throw it past the line of scrimmage, and that saves the down.
Philip Blake is the center. He's a Canadian who is considered an NFL prospect, goes 6'3", 320. So now it just shapes up as a 2nd and 10 for Griffin and the Bears. And here is Griffin, tried to stiff arm his way to some freedom, and a flag comes in right at the spot. As Travis Lewis maybe got a chunk of the face mask.
I thought actually that was a pretty good play by Travis Lewis. He came from inside out. That's hard to do against
Personal
Griffin.
foul, face mask, defense, number 32. Half the distance to the goal from the end of the run, automatic 1st down.
Watch him come from inside out. He got it. He got the steal.
Referee Mike DeFee called it number 32. It's obviously number 28, Travis Lewis. So the ball will be placed at the 11-yard line.
Actually, Joe, I think a pretty well officiated game here tonight.
I agree. We had a couple touchdowns brought back with penalties. So 1st down at the 11. Ganaway. Touchdown, Baylor. The interception by Landry Jones came at a big price.
And Philip Blake, the center, who just snapped that errant snap, was right in the middle of the blocking to be able to gut that Oklahoma defense.
It all started with K.J. Morton, the Baylor cornerback. Right spot, right place with the pick. And then Terrence Ganaway makes the margin 14. Our Pacific Life game summary presents a potential upset here in Waco, 38-24, and what a night for RG3, Matt.
And keep in mind, that's 422 yards, and there were 3 other plays that this thing could be over 500 yards. They called one back, there was a drop, and he overthrew one just by a touch.
Griffin has had completions of 50, 55, 69, and 87, and the 79-yarder was called back by a penalty. Trey Franks. And the Sooners will start from about the 30-yard line. Let's go back to the touchdown by Ganaway that capped the quick strike 4-play drive that only took 1:21.
There's Blake, the center. This is redemption time. There's Kuffold, the left guard, and Richardson, Cyril Richardson, 68, the left tackle. Niver, the tight end. Watch all good assignments, knowing what you're doing. Niver to second level. Here's the opportunity to make the play. You have to make it right there. It's Corey Nelson. Just runs right through it, and everybody else is blocked, and it's 6 quick.
Finch trying to find room out to the 35-yard line. He found Elliott Coffey and Sam Hall. There's Ganaway, Baylor.
And we were
3 touchdowns after Oklahoma scored 2 quick ones.
We were talking Ganaway just the other day, and he was saying, how will our team respond to the challenge? He wants to see who is going to come to play.
And they were challenged right here in the second half. Oklahoma did exactly what you'd expect the Sooners to do when they came out from the locker room. Jones now. That was a good-looking throw to Jazz Reynolds.
And a good-looking catch, knowing he's going to get hit. That's Sam Hall right there. He's staring right in the face of Hall. He knows the ball's to the inside, but he still goes and gets it.
And look at the hit he took to that left arm. And he waved over the medical staff immediately, did Jazz Reynolds, the receiver. .82 yards on the night for Reynolds. He's had 4 touchdowns in their last 3 games, and he's one of the guys they pointed to as a sophomore with size and speed and those big hands, as a guy who could step up in the absence of the star receiver Ryan Broyles, who's out for the year.
And you know, when speaking of Ryan Broyles, we're saying who's going to take that spot, who's going to step up. It's not the move the chains catches. It's the critical catches that Ryan Broyles brought to this offense. The one that Kenny Stills dropped. That's the one that Ryan Broyles takes to the bank.
Well, with Stills being tended to, an opportunity to check in with Robert Flores. Robert?
All right, Joe. Things have gotten tight in Eugene between USC and Oregon. LaMichael James, 1-yard touchdown plunge. Then the ensuing 2-point conversion. Check out the catch by LaVasier Tuanay. 1 foot in is all you need, and USC's lead down to 3 in the 4th quarter.
Thanks, Robert. So Jazz Reynolds able to walk off the field. So things have tightened up between USC and Oregon. Oklahoma has a lot of business to take care of here to come back against Baylor, but you know, that's the kind of outcome they need, is USC holding on against Oregon. But for right now, Oklahoma needs to score fast. Jones dumps it off. And that was Trent Rattery, who had nowhere to go. Elliott Coffey found him.
And that was the time, if you're the Oklahoma Sooners, your big players have to make a big play, because this is the time. It's the 11-minute mark. You're down by 14. Your whole season's still in front of you. Who will step up?
Keep it on the ground with Finch. Oh, what a beautiful move by Finch. And he's still battling down to the 21-yard line. That was Rodney Chadwick who couldn't get to Roy Finch. Look at that move.
Well, that is Joe Washington-esque right there. And that's the stuff that you see. Few players can do that. Roy Finch brings it to the table. He said, who's going to step up? There's one step right there.
First down at the 21. Trying to cut into this Baylor lead. Jones. And he's just going to launch this out of bounds. He didn't have a lot of options on that far side of the field. Ahmad Dixon came after him with a little bit of pressure.
You know, I've been talking about Roy Finch and Joe Washington. As you look at Phil Bennett, the defensive coordinator, Joe Washington was a great player at the University of Oklahoma, an All-American here back in the 70s, and a great professional player. And he had the whole package. Roy Finch has a touch of it.
2nd and 10 now. Pressure off the edge, and they get to Roy Finch that time. Elliott Coffey got to him. Dixon was coming in off the edge, and Coffey found Roy Finch. So it'll be a 3rd and long now.
Coffey came on a blitz, sets up this big 3rd down, but Coffey's played himself a whale of a football game here tonight. Had a big one last week, and he's following it up with another big one.
Heart and soul of this defense is the senior linebacker, number 4, Coffey. 3rd and 14. Coming up on the 10-minute mark, and number 5 is trailing by 2 scores. Jones pumps once, then to the air, and he overthrew Trent Rattery. Rattery wanted the flag, but didn't get it.
Looked like Coffey had the coverage on him down the field. Rattery's not going to win any races here. Well, that's Trey Franks in the middle of the field.
Bob Stoops can only look on now and hope for the best on a 4th and 14.
Who will make the big play?
To the end zone, well overthrown. Baylor's defense holds against Landry Jones.
Great coverage. Great coverage. Kept Jones inside the pocket, but down the field, nowhere to go with the football.
How about the job they did on Jazz Reynolds, covering him well on 4th down.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And Nissan, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy.
That is defensive coordinator Phil Bennett of Baylor, and moments ago he saw his defense face a 4th down with Oklahoma desperate to stay in this game.
And what he was praising him for was great discipline. You know the down and distance, okay? There's no threat on the top side, so you sink as a defender knowing you have somebody on the top half. And then here's the bait. They want you to bite on this to open this, and then inside they're trying to get there, but they take it away because there's nothing to hold them. And because they kept their discipline, no place to go with the ball, great defense.
Screen now. Tevin Reese. Let's check in with Aaron.
I'm going to need you to get your depth charts out. We've got some injury reports down here. Javon Harris, who's had a rough night, he's dealing with a right ankle injury. And also for the Sooners on offense, when they get back on the field, Roy Finch dealing with a left ankle, and Jazz Reynolds, they're dealing with his shoulder right now.
Those are 3 guys they can't do without. So Aaron gives us the update there. As this is launched and almost intercepted, a flag is down. But Bob Stoops, as Aaron just reported, now dealing with a few of his key players not at 100%. We'll get the penalty here.
The penalty withstanding, that was an opportunity for the Sooners. That ball was pickable.
It was floated out there to the near side.
Illegal substitution offense. Receiver stepped on the field of play, never got inside the 9-yard marks. 5-yard penalty, second down.
A lot of cleaning up to do there, huh?
A lot of cleaning up. But you know the good thing, they had their conference to make sure that everybody was on the same page, and then they get the call right. Again, I think this has been a very well officiated game tonight.
Second and 11 for Robert Griffin III, who just needs 5 yards to surpass his school record for passing yards in a game. He has 426 as it stands.
There you go.
And it's going to be close to the record right there.
You got it right there. It's a gain of 6. Robert Griffin, a real confident guy. Had a nice conversation with him yesterday, and he knows exactly what he wants to do and how he's doing it.
Just another 433-yard day. 3rd and 4 now. There was movement there on the left side of the line as Oklahoma showed a bit of pressure.
Offense, number 68, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Big Cyril Richardson, the big man.
So they pack him up here on 3rd down. The 3rd and 9. As Baylor looks up at that clock and thinks to themselves, could we hold on here? Could we make history finally in Waco? Art Briles has been building this program, headed in the right direction, but never has Baylor beaten Oklahoma. 3rd and 9. What does Griffin come up with here? It's going to be well short, and he took a push out of bounds by R.J. Washington.
What's lost in all that was the ability of the Oklahoma Sooner defense to get this ball back. The 9-minute mark, there's lots of time for them to score. We know how fast these teams can score.
They don't waste any time offensively. So Roth on to kick to Kenny Stills, and he should give them very good field position as he's awaiting this at the 40. They come after it a bit, and it's a very good kick by Roth. Back Stills up inside the 20. And he loses the ball out of bounds at about the 25. That was Lanier Sampson, the wide receiver, playing special teams. 8:27 to go. Oklahoma with the ball, trailing by 14 when we return. We're going to try to figure out the BCS. Tomorrow night on ESPN, you can join Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit, and Craig James for BCS Countdown. They're going to unveil the latest BCS poll. BCS Countdown presented by Vizio tomorrow night, 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. And this game could greatly disrupt those BCS standings. It's Brandon Williams, and Williams cuts back and does so with ease for a gain of about 12 yards and a first down. Williams is the true freshman who was an early enrollee last January.
Still plenty of time. They don't need the quick strike.
Jones on first down. Complete. And another, well, close to a first down to DeJuan Miller. Meanwhile, in Oregon, USC has pulled the upset. So Oklahoma fans would love to see a rally here, as number 4, the team that sits just in front of them, has lost. Can Jones pull off a rally of his own? Williams now, and look at Brandon Williams Another 12 yards as they cross midfield down to the 40-yard line, tackled by Sam Hall.
Nice vision by Williams. Starting to the right, they cut that backside off, and he sees it right away and just out the back gate. They're on a move.
Coming up on the 7-minute mark, but they move so fast. Plenty of time if they can score here. And complete again. DeJuan Miller gets free for another first down.
Really nice job of protection inside. And then because of that protection, you're able to get isolated. And a poor job of tackling on the corner. You can't do that.
Bob Stoops looks on as his offense marches down the field. Remember, Roy Finch, as Aaron discussed, banged up, so Brandon Williams getting time at running back. And this is incomplete. He tried to connect with DeJuan Miller.
That's a high-low concept, and it's 3 levels. And so what they're going to do is they're going to take Stills, get him to the top. Miller is in the middle, and underneath, what you don't see, and that you got to make that catch. What you don't see underneath, you see the back right there. They get you in 3 levels, and then they put you in between as a defender, and you have to make a choice. If you bite underneath, they throw behind you.
Jazz Reynolds not in the game. He was banged up. 2nd and 10.
Looks like pressure.
He lofts it, and it is complete inside the 10, down to the 5 to Trey Franks. They are knocking on the door, Matt.
Bill Bennett dialed up a blitz, and they come with pressure off the edge, and it's well protected. And Landry Jones does a nice job of managing that pocket. See how he slid a little to the left and then throws the ball where there's no defender and allows Trey Franks to go run it down.
And here comes that jumbo group with Blake Bell. He has 2 touchdowns on the night. It is just too easy for Blake Bell, and Oklahoma is right back in this game.
They have run that play 4 times. Every time it's the same play, it's the same result. They don't even disguise anything. Here comes a big fullback, Kowski. Trey Miller right back there. Just good power football. But if you're going to be a fullback, that's the name you want on your back. Ripkowski. That just sounds like a blocking fullback, doesn't it?
Sure does. And we welcome those of you who are watching USC's victory over Oregon. We've got a thriller here as well. Glad you're with us. Joe Tessitore, Matt Millen, and Aaron Andrews here in Waco, Texas, where the Baylor Bears have been relying on the big play like this to Kendall Wright. Robert Griffin III has passed for 433 yards and 3 touchdowns. He hooked up to Reese. And then the play of the game, the tip ball in stride, 87-yard touchdown to Kendall Wright that tied the game at 24-24. Baylor would score 21 unanswered points. Moments ago, Oklahoma closed into that lead, cut it down to a 7-point margin. And the big headline, Matt, is that Baylor's never beaten Oklahoma. 20 times they've stepped up to the plate, 0 for. Number 5 is in trouble, but still lots of time left.
They believe they can do it. They have the opportunity to do it. Let's see if they can finish it.
And Goodley will just down it. Let's check in with Aaron Andrews. Aaron?
And Tess, as Oklahoma marched in for that score there, I had my eye on Robert Griffin III and Kendall Wright as well on the sidelines. No emotions. They looked at the Jumbotron. They saw Oklahoma score. They looked back out on the field. Now, of course, they're in the huddle on the field. And again, these guys, ice through their veins, Joe Tess. Just absolutely no expression. Stone Cold Austin as they take the field here.
Top 10 teams have lost this week. Number 2, Oklahoma State. Number 4, Oregon, Clemson. And could it be number 5?
Aaron Andrews, you are right on the money. Kendall Wright is the guy. Since that big tip and touchdown, we have not heard from him. It's time for him to show up.
Here's Griffin, and he keeps it himself and surges ahead for 10 yards. Kendall Wright, 196 yards receiving, and that big touchdown that we showed you. Baylor looking for a signature win, which would cause even more mayhem and confusion in these BCS rankings. Play action. Griffin is going to tuck it and run it. Remember, he has that world-class speed, and he slides down to the 45 for another first down.
One of the dangers of having the running skills, defensively, you can take everything away, but once you set that separation from the line and your backers get good depth, he takes advantage of it.
Oklahoma fans looked up at that score all night long and saw Oregon trailing USC, hoping that number 4 right in front of them would take the loss. Well, they did, but now Oklahoma has to dig out of a hole. And they need to stop Griffin in order to do it. Inside handoff goes to Ganaway, just a couple of yards there. Let's show you the BCS standings. Of course, last night the thriller up in Ames started to put everything into this blender, and it's been mixed up all day long. Number 2 has gone down. Number 4 has gone down. And what will happen and how will this unfold here in Waco is the next question to be answered. Second and 7 now. Screen game.
That's a backward pass.
And that is going to be marked all the way back at the 37-yard line. As that lateral went out of bounds, Reese couldn't control it. DeMontre Hurst was in defensively, so that'll back him up here on a 3rd and long.
DeMontre Hurst read that really quickly. And even had he caught that ball, he would have been tackled for the loss. Of course, he went out of bounds and sets up this 3rd down.
As Aaron reported earlier, Ronell Lewis, Javon Harris starting defensive end and starting free safety for Oklahoma, injured and out. Can their defense come up big here? 3rd and 17.
One-on-one on the outside.
Griffin with lots of time, looking over his options, and then launches it downfield, but overthrows the intended target, Terrence Williams.
He wanted Kendall Wright. Initially, he had one-on-one to the top side, Terrence Williams. Now here's Kendall Wright on the top side. That's what he wanted. But the coverage by Fleming was impeccable. And they undercut him with Colvin, 14. And so it took it away, forced him to pull it down, and sets up this punt.
And it sets up a golden opportunity for Oklahoma to try to salvage things here, as they will get the ball back. Spencer Roth onto punt, and Kenny Stills sets up camp back at the 23. It's a line drive kick that backs up Stills to the 14. And he settles down at the 24. So the final chapter of a wacky weekend of top 10 college football in front of us. Stay with us. On the left, you have Baylor faithful hoping to break the 0-for-20 streak against Oklahoma. On the right, you have Rally Caps. Number 5 is trailing by a touchdown, which is 3:29 to play. Finch back into the game, and he gets the call, gets a good block, a first down, and a lot more. That is Roy Finch, the little 5'7" sophomore who's in for Dominique Whaley, who was the starting running back and is out for the year. He got a good block from the left tackle Stevenson there, Matt.
Yeah, that left side in this fourth quarter has been giving him some running room. They start it one way and come back the other way. Stevenson and Shed have been doing a nice job.
Finch again, this time nowhere to go against that front seven of Baylor, as it was K'Ron Johnson who was able to find him.
Baylor defensively in their interior, they've stepped to the plate. We've seen Jean-Baptiste make some plays. We've seen K'Ron Johnson make some plays. They've done well.
Brennan Clay now comes in as the back on 2nd and 10. Jones with time, and he goes to Clay out of the backfield. And it'll make for a 3rd and about 5.
And so this is all 4 down from here. Landry Jones shows real nice patience. He wants something deep, but he'll take it underneath.
Here's Jones now. Over the middle and in stride is Jazz Reynolds.
Last time we saw Jazz Reynolds, they were taking him in to look at that arm, and he took a big hit early. And now he's back on the field making plays.
And Oklahoma hurries back up to the line and snaps it. Just over 2 minutes to play, and that is complete to Jazz Reynolds. One of the young receivers trying to step in and step up for Ryan Broyles, the NCAA all-time leader in receptions, who is out for the year with that torn ACL. 2:04 and counting down the play.
Landry Jones, 432 yards of passing offense.
They go with the screen, Trey Franks, and he's going to have a Sooners first down as the clock will stop as they move the chains. 141, 5th-ranked team in the country, trying to stay in the hunt and make that argument for the BCS title game as a 1-loss team.
James Hanna went off. There's a little confusion now as to what should be done.
First down from the 18, Jones. Over the middle, oh, and that was dangerous as Rodney Chadwick had an opportunity.
He wanted Kenny Stills in the worst way, and he locked on him, and that is very, very dangerous because everybody was right there. Chadwick had a chance to put it out of its misery right there.
.435 for Jones, but he needs a little more magic here. Complete to the 11-yard line to Rattery.
Rattery in for Hanna, who just went off a little while ago. Doesn't have the same movement that Hanna has.
3rd down, they can get a first down at the 8-yard line.
4-down territory.
Jones, plenty of time, goes with Clay. First down, and he scoots out. It'll be 1st and goal, Oklahoma, with 55 seconds remaining. And now they sub in Blake Bell, the 6'6", 245-pound bruising back of a quarterback. And with that personnel group coming in, Baylor head coach Art Briles calls a timeout. Be sure to stay tuned after our game tonight for the Ford wrap-up with Robert Flores. Glad you're with us here in Waco. What has been a wildly entertaining game all night long. Joe Tessitore alongside Matt Millen and Aaron Andrews. And Baylor has never been in a spot like this to try to beat number 5 at home in a game that means so much this late in the season. Baylor has never beaten Oklahoma, 0 for 20.
Blake Bell, when he's been in, he's run it 4 times for 10 yards, but he's had 3 touchdowns.
They actually refer to this package of him coming in as the Belldozer, and let's see if he plows straight ahead.
Last time they were in their formation, the last few times, they're going to run a power back inside. Baylor has not been able to stop it.
Also has Trey Millard there, the fullback, with him. Here he goes. Bell into the end zone. He does it again. His 4th touchdown of the game.
So a little bit of a change, but the same personnel group using the same power, this time play side instead of bringing it around. Looks like they're going to go
Blake
for 2
Bell
here.
is staying on the field. The officials are going to have a review here, but Blake Bell was not running off, and place kicker Michael Honeycutt was not running out, Matt.
No, they have not. And when I'm saying they, this Baylor defense has not stopped this power all night long. Ripkowski, Millard, Shed, 74 is Shed. Millard, 33. Ripkowski, 48. They just go blow right through the middle of this defense. Let's see if his knee is down anywhere. His knee's down, but the ball's over.
Now the ball's over by about 2 feet at that point that his knee is down, but replay official David Ames is taking a look here. Now, you say they haven't stopped him. He has scored 4 touchdowns with the power game down at the goal line. But does that give you enough faith to go for 2?
Doesn't matter what we think, I'll tell you that right now. But
well, that's the decision being made.
Well, Josh Heupel is going to make that decision along with head coach Bob Stoops. And what they're saying is, we have been winning the line of scrimmage. We have been beating them, changing the line of scrimmage to their side of the ball. Nobody stopped them all night long with that play.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
So they pull within 1, and now the decision to be made. And keep in mind of what's on the line. Oklahoma State, number 2, was upset last night up at Ames. Oregon, number 4, was upset. And Oklahoma is trying to stay alive.
Bob Stoops.
And be a part of that argument for the BCS national title game.
They want to end this sucker right here. This is big.
Bob Stoops making the decision to go for 2.
Key those fullbacks. You want to call a timeout. Baylor took the timeout.
Timeout. Baylor.
A week ago, Baylor survived a 2-point conversion attempt. That was against a struggling Kansas team, and that was a fade route to the corner. You likely know what's coming straight at you if this group stays on the field.
And what this is about, Joe, this is all about numbers. That's what this whole thing is about. And so defensively, you have to know how you're deploying your guys. You're going to have 4 on their 5. You have to be an advantage. You want to be in a numbers advantage. That's what you want to be able to do. But I've got to tell you, with this formation, the offense can dictate where the numbers go because they can take the fullbacks in the backfield and get them to either side of the ball. That last touchdown we saw, they stayed play side and just blew right through them. Again, number advantage, Oklahoma.
If they stay with this jumbo personnel group, you got Trey Miller at 249, the fullback, Ripkowski at 255, and Bell, the quarterback, at 245. And that's the 3 in the backfield on the field. 2-point conversion attempt. Flag came in there, and there was motion.
Now they'll have to kick it.
False start. Offense. Number 74. 5-yard penalty. Retry.
That was a gutsy call by Bob Stoops.
He wanted every bit of it. It's that time of the year. Risk reward, but now the decision made for them.
Shed, just that movement right there makes the decision to kick this extra point.
So on comes Michael Honeycutt, the redshirt freshman walk-on kicker, to tie the game and keep hope alive in the BCS. 38-38. 51 seconds remain.
Well, Joe, we said who was going to step to the plate, and the answer was real simple. It's Landry Jones. Landry Jones, 447 yards of passing, and the last drive when they needed to make the big play, he came through. Started with the running game, and it was Roy Finch out the left side, and then Landry Jones took control, patiently moving them down the field, and when the big play presented itself to Jazz Reynolds, it was there. Goes to the tight end, back underneath to Rattery, and then this throw to Clay, which sets up the Belldozer for 6.
Blake Bell, 6'6", 245. 4 touchdowns, the last of which ties this game. 5th tie we've had. Oklahoma scored 2 touchdowns in the last 5 minutes and 4 seconds.
Landry Jones has made one poor throw here tonight, which was an interception. And then he's come back.
And guess who gets his turn, though, man?
Exactly. Now comes Robert Griffin III.
And Goodley will take a knee. And one of the most dynamic playmakers and exceptional athletes in all of college football will have his crack at it.
Not too shabby of a night so far, huh? 433 yards, 3 touchdowns. One of them called back, one of them dropped, another one just missed by a few inches, or that thing would be over 600 yards.
Now he is one of 4 FBS quarterbacks with over 9,000 passing yards and over 2,000 rushing yards in what has been such an exciting career here in Waco. You see the wind. It is going into their face. The wind is going right to left. They're going into the wind here with 51 seconds to play in a tie game against number 5.
Now is the time that the Oklahoma defensive front needs the same pressure they had to start the game.
They're going to keep it on the ground with Ganaway. No timeouts for Baylor.
They're saying they're going to go to OT.
And now Oklahoma will say, well, we've got 3 of these. So they will take a timeout as Bob Stoops will try to manage the clock and see how this plays out. Well, let's update you with those BCS standings. Number 1, LSU unharmed. Number 2 took it on the chin up in Ames. Alabama, they're sitting there as a 1-loss team with a glossy resume. Oregon, in a thriller against USC, they go down. And Baylor trying to do the same to Oklahoma in a tie game here. If Oklahoma survives, well, they're still in what's going to be a wild argument for a few weeks as to who should play for the BCS title. 2nd and 6. Remember, the 2 timeouts for Oklahoma remain. Griffin is going to keep it himself, and he is dangerous in full stride. Griffin picks up a block but could not stay in bounds, but a big gainer out to the 45-yard line with 36 seconds remaining.
And that timeout just turned around and bit him in the rear end. Courtesy of Robert Griffin's speed. Boy, as soon as he saw the coverage, he reversed his field and he was out the gate to the left side.
That's Aaron Jones. Twice he has hit a 50-yarder in his career. Some more real estate to be conquered for the Bears. Here's Griffin now trying to escape the pressure. And Griffin into midfield, into Oklahoma's side of the field. And that stops the clock at 28 seconds.
Well, Thomas Wirt got in his horse, as he can run. We know that Griffin has world-class speed, but Wirt saw that and knew that he had a lot of green and forced him out of bounds. That's a big play by Thomas Ward.
They need about 13 more yards for that successful range of Aaron Jones. Pressure off the edge. It is complete to Kendall Wright. Kendall Wright gets through, and Kendall Wright is down inside the 34, where Aaron Jones has hit before. 21 seconds as they move the chains. The clock stops momentarily. Remember, no timeouts for Baylor. Empty backfield for Griffin. He has time, launches it to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Williams! The extra point just sneaks through. A 34-yard touchdown with 8 seconds remaining. Robert Griffin III adds to his legacy. 479 yards and 4 touchdowns on a magical night.
And he buys the time with his feet, and then his eyes find the back of the corner. But keep in mind, Art Briles was willing to let this thing go. He was going to run the clock out, but they tempted fate, and fate answered with a 6-point throw to seemingly finish this game.
It seems there has always been something about Robert Griffin III, be it his dynamic story of being a world-class track guy who tried to convert his skills to be a passing quarterback, or his season-ending knee surgery in '09 and having to work his way back. And these thrilling finishes he has provided time and time again with an athletic skill set that is unparalleled in the game right now. A school record 479. Oh, by the way, he's rushed for 72. And he single-handedly made it all happen there on that last-minute drive. Only 8 seconds remain.
I'm still stuck at the timeout by Oklahoma.
Well, they thought maybe. They wanted to see if they could manage it. Instead, Griffin struck. And now the squib kick. He takes a bounce. That's a live ball. And Baylor tries to come up with it. And they may have. And they have. Baylor is going to close this show. A special teams mistake by the Sooners. They're bringing the ball back to midfield and that bench where Baylor stands 5 seconds away from beating Oklahoma for the first time. 0 for 20 prior to tonight.
They're just going to squib it through, and no one makes the decision to pick it up. Roy Finch goes down, and then it's a live ball. And that's just a great job.
That was Clay Fuller.
Clay Fuller tries to pull it in with his feet.
And when the story of this college football season will be told, they will remember this weekend that put everything upside down. Iowa State, USC, and Baylor just made a mess of the BCS. 45-38. 4 top 10 teams lose this weekend. Baylor's first win over Oklahoma comes in dramatic fashion on a night that Robert Griffin III sets the school record for passing yards and total offense. Art Briles, the head coach who's been building this program at the small private school, taking on the big boys time and time again, he finally knocks one out of the park.
What a tremendous job Art Briles has done.
Aaron Andrews is with the star of the night.
The star of the night. And how are you still standing with over 500 total yards for yourself?
Our offensive line did a great job the whole game. We knew it was going to be a war, and I'm glad we came out with the victory.
When you walked off the field after you threw that touchdown to Terrence Williams, you just sat there and you had no expression on your face. What was going through your mind?
God works in mysterious ways, and you know, we had a great game today. That touchdown was a testament of that. So to win a game like that, pretty special.
This school has never been in a position like this before. Biggest win in school history. They're chanting RG. What do you think about this moment?
It's a great moment. I'm glad we could share it with you. Now I'm going to go celebrate with my teammates.
They're actually chanting Heisman, by the way. Go celebrate. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Let me tell you something, Aaron. The Heisman race is wide open, just like the BCS race. And Robert Griffin III just put forth his resume. An absolute thriller here in Waco. Number 5 is a loser. Baylor beats Oklahoma for the first time. They were 0 for 20 coming in. 45-38 your final. Be sure to tune in next week to ABC's Saturday Night Football, 8 Eastern. Notre Dame takes on number 9 Stanford. For Matt Millen, Aaron Andrews, and the crew, I'm Joe Tessitore. So long from Waco. Let's get you to Robert Flores for the Ford Wrap-Up.